Hello, film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. In today's episode, what do we got? We're celebrating Star Wars. Marvel is leading in the horror, it looks like, with a big bit of casting news. And apparently, Grogu has his own Iron Man suit for reasons that I don't fully understand. But we're going to go into all that and more, as always, starting with my hetero life mate, one of my best friends, my man Jeremy.
I'm going to assume he said something to me because you are cutting out very bad.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, he was throwing to you. Yeah.
I heard that much, but I didn't know when he stopped throwing. I don't. You're still throwing when I, last heard. Doing pretty good. I've come prepared today for any people who are fans of Fallout. Got my Coca-Cola Quantum right here. Doesn't actually do. That's my phone. That doesn't actually do
that. Looks nuclear.
That's your production value. You get me doing that. But I finally got a hold of this damn G Fuel Nuka Quantum flavor. Finally, for the 25th anniversary of Fallout. I was not able to get the I wasn't able to get the lunchbox and all the other cool collectible stuff, but like that's good enough for me. And I always keep these because just the artwork is sweet. And, it's not like I don't have a tattoo of it, somewhere. But I'm ready to go. So the little bit of radiation gives you a little kick in the day, doesn't it?
There you go.
Well, if you're lucky, you mutate into some kind of a superhero.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Also with us is the Shape from the Lone Star State, one of the many horror experts that we have on the show now. Army Tech. What's up, brother?
Oh, doing well. Very happy and anxious to talk about my girl Mia Goth getting her big break after the huge year she had last year. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I'm really excited right along with you, but we'll get to that in just a second. But first things first, we do have to say I'm not prepared for all this at all. Sorry guys. I just walked in the door like 5 minutes ago from work, so I'm behind in all of this stuff. My computer's still trying to wake up. I'm still trying to wake up.
Right. It's all good. Life happens.
Have all this stuff right.
I've been awake most of the day. I'm still trying to wake up. That's why I've got this over here. That's why
I ended up working today so that I could take Saturday off for my daughter's birthday party. So I had all the stuff ready yesterday. But I had like no time to get home and like actually get my shit together. So, whatever. But so I'm kind of doing a little bit on the fly. Now I'm ready to go into my first story after a couple minutes of absolutely fucking this whole thing up. Let's see. Winning and record-breaking cartoonist Al Jaffee, best known for his work with revered satirical publication magazine, passed away in a Manhattan hospital on Monday due to organ failure. His granddaughter told the New York Times. A prolific artist, Jaffee holds the Guinness World Record for the longest career as a comic book artist, beginning of his first publication in Joker Comics back in 1942. He retired from Mad Magazine just 3 years ago in 2020. He had contributed to the magazine for more than 4 years. That's half a century, son. Some people don't live half a century. He had that job for half a century. Now, look, all of us on the show right now have experienced Mad Magazine many, many times. I had 3 magazine subscriptions in my life. Illustrated, Mad Magazine. You want to know which one I had the longest? Mad Magazine. I had Playboy for about a year and a half. I had Sports Illustrated for 2 or 3 years. I had Mad Magazine for about 10 years. Wow. I could go for a long time. It was such a part that transitioned so easily into my adult because of the satire. Those just hit differently when you read them as an adult. You know what I mean? Jeremy, what do you think about the passing of Al Jaffee?
Well, I wish I had that kind of job security. That'd be pretty awesome.
No joke.
That's pretty impressive. Like you said, some people don't even live that long. Let alone this guy was doing that job for all of that time. It's one of those things that it's like you you say it and people know what it is, or like you've at least seen it. You've seen the art style, the artwork. So yeah, I don't know. Other than that's, I guess that qualifies for a Hall of Famer, as Frank would always say, for sure. Ain't never gonna be the same.
Yeah, I think it qualifies. He's for some of your thoughts. I mean, you're closer to my age, so you probably understand a little bit more than Jeremy. Although Jeremy, being a man of the world and certainly familiar with Mad Magazine, has to understand. But I mean, you being closer to my age, Mad Magazine was a staple of being a pre-adolescent or adolescent for 50 years. What are some of your thoughts on this passage?
Well, I mean, Mad Magazine, it was. My fondest memory of it was always anytime a popular movie would come out, you knew that Mad Magazine was going to spoof whatever it was. Usually on the cover, they would have some sort of, comedic drawing of whatever. The one that really stands out to me was Batman and Robin. I think I probably still have the issues somewhere if I look. But they did like this, very, obviously caricature comedic design of the Batman and Robin on the cover, and if you open up in the magazine you get to see the rest of the crew from the film. But it was just one of those magazines that I never really did Sports Illustrated. Mine was more Fangoria. That was the one subscription that I always really clung to. But Mad Magazine was definitely number 2 right behind that. But I mean, to do anything for 50 years is an accomplishment. I mean, and for this dude he put in the work. He put in his time. He probably could have retired 40 years ago, let's be honest. But, I mean, that's dedication. I mean, that needs, that's something to be celebrated, what I mean?
Yeah, he created one of the most iconic things in magazines. He created the Mad Magazine fold-in. That page of Mad Magazine where it's got like the one artwork, but if you fold it over on itself, it gives you a whole new picture and a whole new thing. He created that. That's the crazy world. He also was instrumental in the snappy answers to stupid questions, which was a pretty regular segment in the Mad Magazine back in the day. That was always really fun. He actually created the fold-in as kind of a parody of the Playboy centerfold.
Right.
That's why he created the fold-in. The Playboy centerfold and something that was in National Geographic. I guess National Centerfold. Obviously not the same as Playboy, showing different things. But he kind of created this as a spoof. And on top of that, he entered the Society of Illustrators Hall of Fame in 2000. So he is literally, Jeremy said, a Hall of Famer. Also, most of his work is archived at Columbia University. I mean, he's got his own he's got his college. that's how prime time this guy was. Yeah, I was just really, really sad when Mad Magazine, when they announced that they just weren't going to be publishing it anymore. I think they're actually publishing the physical magazine, I think once a year now or something like that. And it's so sad because
I don't even know.
Time and technology. Yeah, time and technology has made some of these things that were absolutely fantastic. We've talked over the last 6 months or so about, video stores, the last Blockbuster and all that, how those experiences, they kind of fall to the wayside of time, but they can never be duplicated. They can never really be, they can't find anything that feels the same, you know what I mean? But magazine definitely one of the things that it was very instrumental in me when I was a kid, just creatively. How many times did I sit around with my friends and toss around Mad Magazines? It was one of those kind of like rock well scenes with us most weekends. We're all sitting around with, is laying all on the floor and we're going through them one by one. Definitely very, very sad. The world needs Mad Magazine. I think probably now as much as it ever has. You know what I mean?
Well, because Mad Magazine. What was the name of the nerdy looking guy that was always like the mascot? I can't remember.
Got the red hair.
What was his name? Yeah. Well, that image is so iconic.
I was like, if you don't, if you don't know, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name, but like that image was so iconic. A film that both Jeremy and I cherish, Texas Chainsaw 2003. if you go back and look at inside the van that they're driving, the poster that's hanging on the inside of the roof of it is a Mad Magazine poster. Like they actually got permission to use it, and they gave it to them or whatever. And you get to see Leatherface literally chainsaw through a Mad Magazine poster. Just for it was kind of a cool thing to have. But I mean, it was Mad Magazine it was a standard of the monthly periodicals. It was one of those things. You know what I mean? And what are you going to do? It's I mean, sadly, all of we don't get them anymore. Hell, I still get emails to subscribe to Fangoria to get a physical copy of, but even I don't do that because it's what the internet kind of killed. You know what I mean? But hey, this dude was integral for 50 years of it. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
I want and have wanted for most of Spy vs. Spy movie.
That would be fun. Now, would you do it live action or animated? How would you do that?
Yeah. I feel like animated would probably be best. But, live actions has you just have to seriously. It would have to be a couple of that would be kind of the perfect vehicle for like a Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Kind of give it a goofier, give it a bit of a Deadpool kind of feel. Not exactly. I would like it to not be R-rated necessarily because I'd still want kids to be able to enjoy it because I enjoyed Spy vs. Spy as a kid. But you can't tell me that would be a lot of fun. Those two, one the black spy, one the white spy, and they just like this crazy shit happens between the two.
Let's see. I know when they did Mad TV, they did Spy vs. Spy, but that was animation form, correct? I can't remember.
Yeah, they had like animated cutaway with Family Guy.
Yeah,
with their little breakaway jokes. That's kind of what it was. Bumper that kind of like what happened before or after you went into a commercial break. So, but yeah, but still, it was fun.
Oh, dude, I was one of the few people that liked Mad TV over Saturday Night Live. I always liked it better. I always thought it was the better show.
Oh, me too.
Now, was it production-wise? Probably not, but I thought it was funnier. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, if you, if you held a gun to my head, go ahead.
And Saturday Night Live hit its bottom point on the air. In Living Color and Mad TV were both far superior to what Saturday Night Live was at the time. Saturday Night Live in the 70s and 80s and probably is good, but as soon as Living Color and Mad TV came out, Saturday Night Live was playing third tip. They just weren't.
Damn, he's really cutting out.
It's unfortunate. Is it easy to say that we lost a man too young when he died at 102 years old? I mean, he was 102.
It's always too
your
soon.
Best life.
Hey, we should all be so lucky.
When you have
like I said,
right.
do anything for people.
It brought people so much. Yeah, go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about the life and career of Al Jaffee. Mad Magazine, nothing will ever top Mad Magazine. That will always be one of the greatest things that ever has been, especially for the teenage years of a person's life, and nothing will ever top that ever again. But go down in the comments what you guys think. On to our next topic tonight. Boy, it looks like we're not quite going to be done with Stranger Things final season wrap. Netflix on Monday announced a straight-to-series or an untitled animated series set within the Stranger Things universe. Plot details for the series are being Things creators Matt and Ross Duffer said it would be of Saturday morning cartoons, a reference to such era series as Masters of the Universe, Gem and the Holograms, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and G.I. Joe, among others. It's unclear if any of the cast will have voice roles in the animated series. All of us love Stranger Things. What are some of your thoughts on the animated to continue the universe?
Yeah, I was actually very excited for this. For the vein of, I really want this to feel like the 80s vibe that, like, I mean, he mentioned all these other shows. I don't want it to be newer animation. I want it to look kind of 2D. I mean, give us a newer version, but give us the old style. And, I mean, as far as story goes, I've been thinking on this one. I mean, do they do like this animated kind of fills in between seasons? Or these just, if I had it my way, I'd do an anthology thing. I'd do kind of like Tales of the Walking Dead did for Walking Dead, where each episode was kind of, it told the backstory, because like I shared with Jeremy there earlier today, they're going to be a book about Eddie Munson 2 years before season 4. Mm-hmm. Maybe they can do something like that. Take one episode, it's Eddie, and the next it's Elle, and the next it's whatever. Do something. I mean, obviously, we don't know anything story-wise yet. There's so many things they could do. They can delve into possibly new characters in this. Are there any other occurrences with the Upside Down of characters we haven't seen, maybe? I don't know. But Stranger Things is such a big property. I mean, we all love this thing. I mean, hell, one of us on here would be Eddie Munson if he could be. He dresses like him all the time, So
he is.
It's
yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I kind of imagine Jeremy every time he walks into the room, he does the horn thing that Eddie Munson does just to announce that he's there.
Not every room.
That's just the image I have in my head of him that I like to portray. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this. I think it's cool.
Well, Jeremy, you've killed Eddie Munson more than once, even on this very show. What are some of your thoughts on what this show could be?
Yeah, I definitely also didn't go see the D&D movie dressed as Eddie Munson in full costume, but
no shame in your game, buddy. I dig it.
No, man. Hit me up, Hollywood. You want me to be like an extra or a double for him? I'll totally do it.
Right.
Yeah, this looks kind of cool. I mean, I don't know, like you said, I don't know what the story of this is going to be, but like if it's ironically, it's like if it's going to kind of look like a, Saturday morning cartoon from like the 80s, I'm like, well, that's just perfect. That's perfect for what this is, the universe that we're set in with this. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't think any of us are going to turn down more Stranger Things stuff. And I hate that in the back of my head, though. I think that because it's animated, it's like, that's easier to do, at least on the actors. I mean, if they're going to voice the same characters, that's easier to go into a booth for a few days and just spit out some lines, do your thing, and then you can still go work on something bigger. I mean, they don't want to do this for the rest of their lives. They all look like they could almost be in college now, so that's kind of a problem.
Well, yeah, age wise, this gets rid of that.
Yeah, that definitely would help. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. If we're gonna, I mean, it's like we even had stuff like that, like the new Ghostbusters in the 80s. Like you had the cartoon of them, which, I mean, that was always fun. Right. Stuff like that. And I think even I was trying to remember what it was. I remember now. Doctor Who even did that. I think they lost. Like there was like an episode or something they lost, and they actually just animated it. And I think they had the same guy who did the voice of the Doctor at the time. And I know this is all time travel stuff, but it's like I know obviously that guy has long aged since his time being on Doctor Who, but they had him voice the character in the animated thing. And it's like they added it in as this is an episode of something that happened in that time. I'm like, that's cool. I'm fine with that. So yeah, right. I don't know where this fits in, but that would be kind of cool.
What if they did like Stranger Things, Tales of the Upside Down or something? Because there's so much of that world that we haven't gotten to
keep going with it.
Understand. I mean, yeah, we've gotten 4 seasons of the show, but it's focused on the kids and the town and everything else. The Upside Down is vast. I mean, yes, we got a bunch of it in season 4 with Vecna and his backstory, right? But there's so much more they can tell. I mean, that has to be something they're considering for this. What I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine it being something like it was kind of it's like maybe Vecna and the Demigorgons aren't necessarily trying to kill them. Message of the week, like don't steal, don't pollute, don't do things like that, because they mentioned these cartoons in the 80s, and that's kind of how they were built. It's like every week was kind of a different message they were trying to put across to kids. So if that's what they're trying to do with it, I dig it. I can't say I'm going to watch it all the time. I'll probably watch a couple episodes here and there just to try to enjoy it. But I can imagine them going that route and not making it so the way the TV show is. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I imagine when I think about what they're trying to say. The animation house is doing this. I don't know, Jeremy, you might be familiar with this. Boy and Chum Chum.
I think that's a little bit after my time watching cartoons. That might have been right when I stopped.
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
I know of it. Yes,
but it's popular a lot. So, and that's the same animation house that's doing it. But I am very stoked to know that the Duffer Brothers and Levy are all going to be involved in doing this. So, it's good. It's going to feel like good animated Stranger Things stuff. The universe is well, but like I said, kind of the story of the world, and not necessarily have this big overarching story of like the Upside Down and blah blah. Probably a lot more compared to some of the scenes and images that we've gotten in the TV show. That's kind of where I see it going. But would that be disappointment to you, Tex, or do you want something really, really R-rated or gory or?
Considering the show isn't very gory, I don't expect the animated series to be. I mean, I'm a gore guy. I mean, and anytime you can give it to me, I'm gonna happily accept it. But if this animated show is going to be canon to the rest of the world, it's got to fit with it. And like I said, depending on how they do this, assuming they go with the characters that we already know, then it would kind of throw it out of the way a little bit and feel a little odd if it's a, Rob Zombie-esque kind of thing, as much as I would dig that. But, I mean, I really want more. Give me more of the Upside Down. We get plenty of the real world and the kids and everything on this side of it. This is a cheaper way to explore that side. Vecna's, there's no way he's the first creature that ever came out of that thing. There's got to be something more to it. And, I mean, they could go back to, like, the Russians found out about this in World War II. There's so many things they could do with this. This is the opportunity to explore the things that they weren't. I mean, a Stranger Things season is so jam-packed. It's 12 or 13 episodes, and every episode is always full. This is the opportunity. You can play with it a little bit. You can get more story. You can get more whatever in there. And if they really want to flesh out this world even more, here's how they do it. And I really hope they do, because, I mean, we all love this show. I mean, Stranger Things is easy a top 10 show for me all time. I mean, it hits right in the feels. You know what I mean? I just want this to be good.
Maybe some like 1950s Russian scientist finds out about this thing, and that's it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I mean,
you think it's going to be? Jerry, do you think it's going to be a lot darker like the TV show, or do you think it's going to go the route that I think they're going to go with it? They're going to make it more of a lighthearted, fun kind of thing.
Well, I mean, you can be lighthearted and fun, and you can have some pretty dark stuff in there. I mean, that's kind of what this series did. I mean, like, you can go from a bunch of kids running around the neighborhood on their bikes playing D&D, and then you see somebody's high school friend get like sucked into a fucking swimming pool, like by some monster you can't even see, screaming at the top of their lungs. I'm like, yeah, well, this can get pretty horrifying real fast, but also be having or hell, you can even be having Dustin have this little pet thing. Well, I think it was a Demogorgon, like a baby Demogorgon, and it'd be kind of comical, like some 80s like comical sitcom almost. of him trying to not get caught with this thing, and it definitely ate his mom's cat. But
there is one question that they could answer and possibly go a little bit darker with, and it explain what is a Demogorgon. I still have my conspiracy theory that it's people that got sucked into the upside down, and like Vecna were turned into a monster or whatever. I still have that theory because especially in season 4, we saw how them really explore things and how everything is the opposite of, but it's very similar. So what if it's just people that got involuntarily sucked into the upside down and they became the Demogorgons or something? They could do a lot of things like that. You know what I mean?
Read your D&D monster book. You might tell you what it is, but in this sense of it,
Well,
it could.
I've never played D&D in my life.
Oh, okay. Well, because that was one of you, was either you or Brooding Gamer sent that thing of the pop figure. It was both packs. It was like the Stranger Things Vecna and then the actual
I put that one. I sent that one in there.
So I'm like, this just could be, when you do stories and stuff, it's like that just could be the extra little twist. My whole theory is that this whole thing is a D&D campaign. This kind of seems like it would be. Like, that's something they stumble across as some mere world to their own, and it happens to have all these other things in it that are, that we've seen in D&D. And that's
right.
Kind of the whole meta thing of it, is that you can, if you look at it that way, it makes sense, but I don't want to. That almost feels like the whole "it was all a dream" thing. Like, I don't know.
Oh no! If they do that at the end of season 5, you're gonna have a lot of pissed off people. I don't think they would.
Even if it's just the two Duffer brothers sitting there like throwing dice to be like, there it is.
That would kind of be like that episode of She-Hulk where she goes into like the Marvel creative room and it would be too similar to that. You know what I mean? But because I don't know with this show.
We all watch that show for sure, right?
Right, yeah. But like I said, with this show, this is an opportunity to, you either go an anthology route and tell different stories within the world. You can go between seasons to, flesh out the story. You can do new characters. I'm sure there's other characters besides the one we've seen that have interacted with this world. There's no way that they're the first ones. Maybe, I don't know, there's a lot they can play with here. Maybe show something from the Russian side of, not Russian military, but like Russian citizens, like a family over on the other side that got sucked into this thing and had to deal with it or something. There's so much they can play with here. And to do it in an 80s cartoon format, it fits perfectly with everything here. So I don't know. I'm paying attention to this one.
Crazy Blade just said a thing, make it like a summer camp. Like, that's not the most 80s thing ever. Yeah, that'd be kind of
right.
Funny.
Yeah, like that too.
You could almost make it seem like it's some 80s slasher film. It's like something came out of the Upside Down. You think it's like a slasher killer in the summer camp, but it turns out, I don't know. Maybe it's a Demogorgon with blue stripes, and we all know what that means. It means fake Jason. It's not really a Demogorgon.
It's the Roy version of the Demogorgon.
They name him Roy. But yeah,
I think that we need to have a Demogorgon as a pet or an ally, kind of like
he's the
cartoons. Like we'll just have like this one Demogorgon puppy that's like
he's their Slimer. Yeah, there you go. That'd be great. Yeah, he's their Slimer. He's the good. He's the good one that Vecna kicked out, didn't want in the Upside Down, so he wants to take him down or something along those lines. Yeah. Now one thing that they do need to have is that whole G.I. Joe and the knowledge is power. They have to emulate that somehow in this show and make it as cheesy as humanly possible. If you're going to do it that style, you got to do it.
Knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle.
Oh, that'd be great. I know that this can be a lot of fun.
I don't know. I think it's probably going to be more lighthearted than anything else because they've already got other spin. They got the Eddie prequel, whatever they want to call it, coming, and
the book. Yeah,
I don't think that we're going to be completely. I don't think we're going to be completely done with Stranger Things when this is over. I feel like somewhere down the line, because they've already talked about their desire to do a movie. So I feel like at some point we're going to get them on screen for a movie or maybe even another short series of things. I don't really know. I'm going to be done with this afterwards for a couple of reasons. Number one, and Tex, you said it, there's lots of different things that they could cover in this outside of Hawkins, outside of these characters. There's other questions that can be answered. And on top of that, it's too much of a fucking moneymaker. One of the things about this is that, like, one of the reasons that they've given Stranger Things a longer run on Netflix and they've given a lot of shows is because they merchandised this show like a motherfucker. Like, there wasn't anybody buying hats and T-shirts of Red Notice or anything like that. But I mean, there are kids in the place. My son's 2 or 3 strangers or sweaters or hoodies or whatever. So I mean, the merchandising money here is definitely there. And by letting the thing go away, I think that's probably a big reason why they went ahead and decided to do this animated thing, is so they can keep pushing the merchandising. So, well, I don't know. I've never seen entirely done with this universe just yet.
I've never seen any other TV show do a pop-up store. Here, not local to me, but a kind of close distance, there was a mall. I showed y'all the pictures, that pop-up store that the mall did for Stranger Things, where they like closed down 2 or 3 stores in this mall, and they built sets of like the show, and you could buy stuff. I got some of the merchandise. I've still got the keychain and some of the merch I bought over there on my shelf, but this is a money-making machine. They've got action figures, lunch boxes, T-shirts, everything. You know, I mean, hell, I'm pretty sure Jeremy has most of it, every bit of it, but it is what it is, you know. And this is obviously nostalgia always sells. I mean, how often do we talk about remakes on this show? It's like it's an every week thing, you know. But, you know, this is like the mountaintop for it. And yeah, we may be coming to the end of the main show, but there's a lot of this world they can play with. And I'm not tired of it. I mean, we're only 5 seasons into this. There's still meat left on the bone. I hope they play with it.
I think so. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of your series. Do you think it's going to be on the darker side? Be a little bit more lighthearted, be more of a G-rated? Go down in the comments below and let us know what you guys think. Now, I actually got finally, we got a trailer for the Marvels. Trailer for the Marvels shows Captain Marvel so far there. This time with a pair of allies by her side. 2019 film Captain Marvel starred Brie Larson. In the sequel, Larson is joined by Vellani, the series Miss Marvel, as well as Tiana Paris as the grown-up version of Captain Marvel character Monica Rambeau. Jeremy, I'm assuming you got a chance to watch the trailer. I actually thought a lot of fun. What do you think?
I think I saw the trailer on, you know, the screen the size of like my phone, because I didn't even care to actually look it up. And I'm just scrolling. I'm like, I stopped and I watched where the hell this like really narrow perspective was, aspect ratio on my phone. I was just like, I think I could not stop hearing that girl like screaming at fucking everything. And I'm like, that is fucking annoying. Go away. Scroll. I just kept scrolling. So I don't know. That was about as excited as I was about it. And Brie Larson's a fucking dumpster fire. So really, I am not about to go down that road either. And
you know, it's a shame somebody as attractive as her is as ugly as she is on the inside. I will say that. That's a real shame, I gotta say. But another podcast.
I mean, and the only one that I actually, you know, liked was Monica Rambeau, like from WandaVision, and I'm like, you're the only one I'm actually kind of interested in. That, you know, being that she is supposed to be, I think, Photon is her name, or at least that's the first.
I don't know that character.
It's weird because if you look up,
they haven't officially given him
yet. I'm assuming she's supposed to be Photon going into it now, but I'm like, that's what this is right now. Is I'm like, if you look up Captain Marvel, there's like 80 fucking people that have been Captain Marvel. So I'm like, okay, I understand this is what, you know, there are different people that have been that character. So this might be kind of a start of that. But I don't know. I didn't watch Miss Marvel. I think Frank is the only one out of like 10 people who did, and of the 5 of those 10 who actually liked it. So I don't know, and I'm just maybe I don't know. I just couldn't stand that child just like screaming at fucking everything and just like flying across space. And even Nick Fury was looking at her like, "What the hell are you doing on my window? Like, what the hell?" You know?
Yeah, that moment in the trailers when I kind of checked out, I was like, "Oh, okay, I know how this is going."
I don't know. This seems like some weird, and I think I don't know when this is supposed to. If this is after Secret Invasion, I thought someone said it was.
I have no clue.
Because I mean, if we're already doing like this, seems like the comedic aspect of this seems like it's gonna be some weird body swapping shit. Like Brie Larson came in and she's like, "Damn it, again!" I'm like, "Well, what happened? Like, are they like all connected now and they use their powers and they all start like screwing each other up and shit?" Like that's kind of funny to me, but I don't know.
I think this is going to happen kind of at the same time as Secret Invasion, so it could pretty closely tied to that. Because I think Secret was out this fall, right? As I recall, and this movie got pushed back to November. So maybe that's why that was, because it's going to tie in so closely to Secret Invasion. They wanted them to come out kind of on the same time.
I don't know.
Did you guys hear?
Well,
no.
You're
if we're sitting here just like this, we don't know what to do. We can't hear you.
Well, I don't want to like overspeak. That drives me crazy when that happens, and so which I try to wait to see if you're going to pause when you and phrase. But I'll go ahead. I watched the trailer. I'm not a Marvels fan. I mean I've spoke about it before, but Brie Larson is just a terrible human being, in my opinion. The press tour that she did for the first film, it really turned me off to her, just as a whole. This trailer, it looks fine, but it looks kind of average, mid Marvel, just the standard. You know, nothing really mind blowing. The CGI wasn't like, oh my god, it was kind of par of the course as you expected. And that moment where Miss Marvel, I guess is the girl's name, the Kamala Khan girl, I guess that's her name. I'm not even sure. Where she's like Jeremy said, where she's tapping on the glass. Oh my god, you're Nick Fury. I was like, oh okay. Well, it's just this just took the piss out of everything. But it was, I mean. The only real part of the trailer I enjoyed was the cat eating the people halfway through.
He's always the best.
Yeah, the cat was cool. And I mean, Sam Jackson, he's Sam Jackson. You can't go wrong with the guy. I mean, he earned his, stripes with Pulp Fiction with me. I don't need any more from him. The dude's awesome, you know what I mean? But I mean, I probably won't see this film. I mean, the only way I would be for review purposes of this show, to be honest with you. I'm not the fan of this. Like I said, I mean, Marvel's not really my biggest thing. I'm Team DC. That's no secret. It is what it is. And with the DC news we got this week, that kind of took the majority of my brain. So hopefully it's better than Ant-Man was. At least I can say that. And hopefully nobody else is a sex scandal for Marvel that they have to cover up. So.
I think you guys are downers. I think you guys that's all you are. You're just downers.
We're downers.
Well, maybe Frank. I don't have kids like you guys do. I was ready to smack that child for screaming so fucking much. I'm like, ah!
No, I don't
know.
No, independent of even having kids, I thought Miss Marvel was a lot of fun. It's my second favorite show behind WandaVision.
Yes, me
for like WandaVision, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked it when it came out. I was like, I'm interested in it, but it's like it was crazy to me how that show really kind of like tapped into the family stuff. I loved it all. We got the actual name drop of you got that when he actually says the word mutant. Actually, get that little guitar riff. It's like it's like, so there was a big reveal post-credit scene at the end of the last episode where you actually see her. We actually see whatever is going to be alluded to in this movie about her and the other two switching places and all that. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really liked the grandmother character in the show. I thought she was absolutely hilarious. She steals most of the scenes she's in. There was a lot of stuff to really like about Miss Marvel. And it looks like they're making her kind of a central character in this movie, because a lot of this trailer felt like an episode. It felt like Miss Marvel to me a little bit. But I think it's going to be kind of what the first film was. The first film was like a buddy cop from the 90s. And I thought that worked out really, really well. It was a buddy cop film with her and Nick Fury. And this looks like it's going to be a lot of the same. It's just pieces of it that are going to take place out in space, which is kind of an interesting little tell on it. It's also being directed, and you might be interested in this, by Nia DaCosta, who directed Candyman back in 2021. So, I mean, they've got a horror director in here doing this, which might.
I wasn't really impressed with that film. I mean, it's nowhere near the original. But also we've got another accuser apparently. Remember Ronan the Accuser from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Is a hammer? It's another woman carrying what looks like to be that same hammer, but she's also got, it looks like one of the bangles that Miss Marvel wears are on her wrist, which means that could be kind of where the connection happens between the bad guys and these people, between the bad guys and the Marvels, and of course whatever the hell happens with their powers going on is probably going to be some kind of a comedic thing that's happening. I like to understand why I released it and released it at Comic-Con, since this damn movie doesn't come out until November. But I mean, I like the trailer. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was kind of looking forward to seeing this thing. Yeah, it was like I said, I watched it. I watched it twice to see if there's anything I could pick up on, and nothing really stood out. Like I said, Sam Jackson, he was my only real draw to this film. I did notice that Captain Marvel gets towards the end of the trailer, she gets a suit that looks more like the guy Captain Marvel. So maybe they're just, I don't know, they're just pulling something from the comics like Marvel does. I don't know. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a Marvel fan. Right. Well, yeah, I mean, they have to, get a new toy out on the shelf, so give them a new costume. That's what they do every time. But I don't know. Like I said, the only way I'd see this was for review purposes only. This is not something that I'm going to rush out to, go, take time out of my day to go see on my own accord. You know what I mean?
But Tex, you got to see all the other 18 shows to understand this one.
Right. I got to watch Miss Marvel,
Captain
season
Marvel.
2 of blah, 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 Loki season 15.
Right.
I got to go all the way through everything. I'm good. I'm very, like I said, I'm very selective when it comes to my Marvel stuff. I mean, now there's one topic for Marvel that we're going to talk about tonight. I'm very excited about, but this ain't for me. I mean, I'm glad, Frank, you enjoy it, and whoever else likes it, hey, rock on. I'm happy for you. But
I saw 2 out of the 3. I saw WandaVision and Captain Marvel, the first movie, and I liked them both. So I can fill in the.
I enjoyed WandaVision. I did enjoy WandaVision, but the deeper into the season it got, the kind of less I liked it. I liked it earlier in the season than in the beginning. But hey, it's all good. I mean, not everything's for everyone, and that's all right.
Yeah, I think. Look, I thought the trailer was pretty good. Again, I don't know why they released it now, because not till November does this movie come out. You could have released it at Comic-Con. It made a lot more sense. But I mean, whatever. We got the trailer that I was expecting to get a couple of months ago for the Super Bowl. I was actually kind of disappointed that I didn't get. But they didn't actually move the release date for this movie back until a couple days after the Super Bowl. So a little bit of a foreknowledge on that would have made a little more sense. I don't know why they didn't, but that's just me. But I don't know. Let us know what you think. Go down in the comments below. Let us know. Did you see the trailer for the Marvels? Did you like? Are you looking forward to seeing it? I thought it was a pretty good trailer. It gave away a lot about the plot. Obviously, it talked a lot about what the hell's going on with their powers, but not really a lot about what the main bad guy is going to be. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys thought. Now, speaking with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is what bringing his hands over for most of the 24 hours or so since this little bit of news dropped. Let's see. It's the on the wrong one. Mia Goth, who established herself in horror with last year's X and Pearl, is jumping into the horror-centric side of the universe. Goth is a late addition to Marvel Studios' Blade, the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. Blade, of course, stars Mahershala Ali as the titular half-human, half-vampire, spends his time hunting vampires to avenge his lair. Jan de Man, known for Lovecraft Country, is at the helm of this project. I'll go to you first, Tex. I know you've been hearing about this since this news dropped yesterday, I think, on Twitter. So, what are some of your thoughts on Mia Goth joining Blade in the MCU?
I am so happy that Mia Goth is getting her big break. I mean, if y'all haven't seen X and Pearl, you need to go out of your way and see it. X came out before Pearl, but Pearl takes place before the timeline of X. X was very similar to a Texas Chainsaw. I always call it like the cousin of Texas Chainsaw. And basically, she plays a girl like small town Texas chick that she wants to make it big. She wants to be a star, so she gets into porno. And, slasher gore fun happens from there. Pearl, she plays a different character, but if you've seen X, I don't want to spoil anything. But Mia Goth is a treasure. I mean, she's only been in two. Well, she was also in Infinity Pool, which I need to see. I haven't seen yet. But Mia Goth is a horror treasure. I mean, like I said, she's a newcomer. She's finally getting her big break, and I wish she was in a DC role because I actually I wanted her to be Batgirl. That's kind of wanted to, which we still technically could happen, but we'll see. But I'm happy as hell to see her in a Blade movie because if they want to go hardcore with this, just go watch X and Pearl and you'll see why Mia Goth is perfect for either a vampire hunter or a vampire itself. Either way, I don't know who she would play and I don't know which role capacity, but Mia Goth is a treasure. And she's one of those people that when she's on screen, she fills it up. The ending of Pearl is just fantastic. She does this 5-minute long monologue all by herself. It's her and one other person. She does all the talking. You get this range of emotion. She is a solid actress. She's a beautiful girl. I'm very happy that she got this role. And, Blade's had its problems. I mean, didn't it have to get rewritten or something like that? And they had to pause production and all kinds of, production hell that it went through. But, there will never be any other Blade for me besides Wesley Snipes. But if them casting Mia Goth in this film, they have my money and my attention. I'll be there to see this one. This is a Marvel movie I will go out of my way to see because this one has potential.
Yeah, they basically back to each one.
Right, and maybe when they did that, they wrote her in somehow. Or like I said, I don't know. I wasn't there when she auditioned or whatever. I don't know, but if they want to get the horror audience, getting Mia Goth is a big hit. I mean, Mia Goth was one of the names that was being thrown around for the opening kill of Scream 6. A lot of people had positioned her in the Samara Weaving role that we got, but she ended up not getting it for whatever reason. So, hey, I mean, this is cool. I don't know how big of a role she'll be, but she's a star, man. And if you've seen Extra Pearl, you know what I'm talking about when I use that line. So, yeah, I mean, this is a home run hit from Marvel right here. I dig it.
So, Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, I think talent to this movie, especially one that needs the good buzz after some of the trouble it's had. What are some of your thoughts on this casting?
Well, that's kind of our light in the darkness, isn't it? So, yeah,
this is the way. Come on now.
We're not there yet. we're not walking either path to that. Hold on, man.
It was good.
Maybe I should use a better term instead of light in the darkness because this guy is a vampire, so maybe light is not his friend.
Right? Yeah. You know, I mean, he's only half vampire. He's not
True.
whole vampire. Remember that.
True, true.
He is a daywalker. So come on.
All right. It's like Frank said. He always says it's like there's nothing wrong with adding talent. So that's where I can agree with. I was sitting here. Well, first of all, she plays way too much Sims. So I was thinking with this last name, like there's a whole family called the Goths, and I'm like, no, that's the actress. Bella Goth is the daughter of that whole family. I'm like, wait a minute, no, confused the shit on me. I looked her up, and I'm like, you know what? I've seen one of her movies. I was like, I knew she looked familiar. Yeah, I'm probably again the only person who watched this damn movie was A Cure for Wellness back in 26. What did it say? 16.
I've never heard of that film.
It's okay. I don't think anyone has. It's the main guy was the dude who looks like a young Leonardo DiCaprio. He's the one that played Harry Osborn in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what my draw to it was. I was like, oh, coming off of that, and this is 2016. That happened in, 2012 and 2014? So I was like, oh, that's the dude from Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, I'll see it. I don't know what this weird, trippy-ass movie is about, but actually, I still don't, to be honest. But she was the, I think she was the other, main, star. It was the two of them. Granted, I watched that movie once, and I still can't even tell you what the fuck was going on. Also, Jason Isaacs was in it as obviously the bad guy, which is obviously no surprise. But yeah, it was an interesting movie. And I saw her, and she plays that part pretty well. She's kind of just she's very not childlike, but she's almost just kind of just in this weird daze.
She has a innocence about her, but you can see the crazy on the inside.
Yeah, because like I said, Harry Osborn goes to that psychiatric hospital, which has kind of not conventional ways of dealing with stuff. And she was one of them. I think she plays Jason Isaacs' daughter or something. And she's in there, and she's just not, it's like when she gets outside for the first time, they go to the town and they have they go have a drink at the pub or so. I don't remember this fucking movie at all, but it's almost like a Shutter Island. Is that the one where
yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, I think it's where it's the whole time he wasn't actually, he was one of the patients. Yeah, it's kind of like that thing. It's now he's one of the patients now, and now he's gonna Harry Osborn. He's gonna lose his fucking mind now. I'm like, I don't know. It was a weird movie. That's really all I know her from. But
you need to check out X for sure, and if you like it, go watch Pearl. I mean, X literally takes place in the 70s in Texas on a farm that looks like they live next to the Hewitts or Sawyers. I mean,
probably
literally, it looks.
Oh man,
it's the whole plot of the movie is a Texas oil man. He's tired of being the working man, and he wants to go shoot porno movies. And he loads up his crew in a 60s era van, just like in Chainsaw, and they drive to this elderly couple's farm because the movie they're making is The Farmer's Daughter or something. I forget exactly the title. Okay. And literally, the insanity ensues, and instead of a guy wearing other people's skin, it's an elderly couple that's killing the porno people. And it's even got what's her face from Scream 6 and Wednesday? What's the girl that's in everything these days?
You talking about Jenny Ortega?
Jenna Ortega is also in X as well.
Oh wow!
And Pearl is the sequel to the movie, but it's a prequel, and it's the backstory of the elderly woman as she's a girl growing up, and it's a tonally different film. I think it's set in the 20s, I believe it is.
It's a prequel, yeah.
So, but I think you specifically would like X for sure, and then maybe Pearl. But
with that kind of fucky continuity you just said, it's a prequel to the sequel to the original sequel that's not canon
yes.
now.
Like I said, this is these movies are a cousin to the Chainsaw franchise. I mean, there's no chainsaw in it, but like I said, they could live next to the Sawyers or Hewitts, and it's all believable. That's how close it is. So but Mia Goth is a talent, man. And like I said, I hope they really push her in this film because I want her star to grow because I want her in more horror properties. And, you know, hey, I'm happy for her. Go get that money, girl. You know what I mean?
Let me see what that movie's on. The Cure for Wellness.
Yeah, I say you never go wrong by adding talent, and this is definitely talent. I mean, probably the hottest talent in the horror genre right now. But this makes a lot of sense because if you do want to branch out into the horror thing, you got off to a pretty good start with Werewolf by Night. It wasn't like gore horror, but it was like nice homage to the horror films and stuff like that. If you really want to impress horror fans, what you're going to have to do if you or universe, you have to impress horror fans, not necessarily MCU fans. MCU fans are kind of suckers anyway. They're going to go with whatever Marvel gives them. If you suck in some of the horror fans that are not necessarily MCU fans, you
damn, Frank's internet's really fucking.
I think Frank's in a comatose stasis right now.
Well, while he's fixing that, Big T brings up a good point. He says Mia Goth has the makings to be this generation's Aubrey Hepburn, and I totally agree. Because go watch Pearl, and you'll see what Big T is talking about. She's kind of got this classic beauty, kind of innocence, but like I said, there's a crazy inside. Oh yeah, no, you could put her in the Sawyer family, and you wouldn't blink an eye. And you know, it's like I said, whenever I saw, I mean, I was on with Casey last night whenever Frank had brought this up, because I mean, this is huge news. This is, you know, like I said, I wanted her in the DC world because I think she is a perfect Batgirl. I mean, she's got the look, the physicality. I think she could pull it off. And I mean, she still could be. There's no saying she can't. I mean, how many actors are doing DC and Marvel, you know, at the same time these days?
True.
But, you know, I mean, hell, they cast, you know, Red Guardian as Frankenstein in the new DC movies. So, you know, it's obviously everything's possible
and
these days.
There was that one guy who played, I think, the older version of Stryker in the Wolverine movies. And then he was also he was that bad guy in Wonder Woman, the guy who was Ares.
Oh, I forgot he played Ares. Yeah, Stryker was her. Holy shit.
He was in both. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it's the same guy. You're a bad guy, aren't you? I'm like, immediately, I'm like, he's a bad guy. Damn it, he plays it well.
Like I said, I don't know. I hope Mia Goth gets a big role in this film because it's. You know, if they want to bring the horror audience over to this Blade movie, which is what they're trying to do, she needs to be featured. I don't know. Do you remember the name of the character that Jessica Biel played in Blade Trinity? I can't remember.
No, I don't really remember Blade Trinity because that was kind of the bad one.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a great movie, but
no one asked for that one.
If they could have her in that kind of role, it would be perfect.
Okay.
Because she lights up the screen when she's in it, and she can really carry. I mean, hell, like I said, I can't praise X and Pearl enough. When she's on screen, she's captivating, and you know, this is a really cool casting. Like I said, I rarely get excited about a Marvel role. I think the only other one that would get me this excited is if you cast Keanu Reeves as freaking Ghost Rider or something, you know, something along those lines.
Or Norman Reedus would make a great Ghost Rider.
Yeah, he actually might be a better choice than Keanu Reeves, to be honest. But yeah, either way, I mean, anything short of that, I'm like, okay, whatever. But Mia Goth is you know, she's got that Aubrey Hepburn kind of star potential, like Big T said. I completely agree. And this is an opportunity for her. I want this movie to go good. I love the Blade movies. I mean, Wesley Snipes, I mean, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Those Blade movies came before the real superhero boom of the MCU and the
Mm-hmm.
Snyderverse and the whatever. Films like
We had like Spider-Man and maybe the first couple X-Men's, but that's about it.
yeah. Well, you had the Spider-Man, the X-Men,
Maybe
you had
Fantastic Four?
Watchmen. Yeah, to a lesser extent. I think Watchmen is one of the most underappreciated superhero films of all time. I adore that movie. But, Blade came before like I said, the superhero boom or whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. A lot of that goes to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, which I understand. It's, you're probably not going to take your kids to see a vampire killing movie, which you would take your kids to a Spider-Man movie or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But, Blade 1 and 2 especially are awesome films. I mean, you've got Chris Christopherson, Wesley Snipes. I mean, come on, dude. You can't go wrong with that. So I hope this movie is good. I hope they don't MCU it too bad and water it down.
True.
I mean, we know we're getting a Deadpool that is within the MCU somewhat. So, and we did see Werewolf by Night. They're willing to get violent. How violent, I don't know, but Blade is one of those characters that you have to.
He's got to be violent, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, even Wolverine as well.
With Logan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why that's the best X-Men movie ever made, and that's a Western movie. That's not even an X-Men movie. You know what I mean? But, for Blade, I don't know this Mahershala Ali guy. I know nothing about him, but he's got huge shoes to fill coming in for Wesley Snipes. So
I found that, or this is just Google's little thing of that movie I was talking about. A Wall Street stockbroker, Dane DeHaan, who is Harry Osborn, travels to a remote location in the Swiss Alps to retrieve his company's CEO from an idyllic but mysterious wellness center. He soon suspects that the miraculous treatments are not what they seem. His sanity is tested when he unravels the spa's terrifying secrets and finds himself diagnosed with the same curious illness that keeps all the guests there longing for a cure. And it was directed by Gore Verbinski, so I mean, that's also.
I might have to check that out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it came up. I think I saw previews and I was like, it looks really weird. I'll go check it out. Why not?
So it's a studio film. It's not like an independent thing or whatever.
Nah.
Okay.
Psychological neo-gothic horror film. That's a lot of words I never thought I'd say in a row.
It's
like I can't really.
Neo-gothic. Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, I can believe it. Psychological neo-gothic horror film. Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, like the little thing in the trailer is like it's a cool shot of like it's a big Swiss Alps castle complex thing. He's kind of like the 2-mile driveway. Harry Osborn, he's like looking up. He like looks up out of his back seat of his little limo or whatever the hell he's getting taken, and that's when you see like a pair of feet standing on this like stone wall in this window, and it's Mia Goth, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Like looking at her like, "What are you doing up there?" And she's like standing just like looking at him as he like drives up. I'm like, "You're fucking weird. I like you." You know what I mean? If that doesn't sound like the most Mia Goth thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, she fits right in.
Yeah, she's in a new movie, Infinity Pool. I've got it saved up in my phone. I planned to watch it today while I was off, but I didn't have time. I'm going to try to watch it tonight. It looks interesting. There's one shot where she has like this Harley Quinn-esque maniacal smile, and she's having like a shootout with people. And she's got like the blonde hair. Like she looks genuinely like mad and crazy. So for her to be able to carry a scene like that, I'm curious to see what they do with her and Blade. I wish I knew female Marvel Blade villains better, but I know none of them. So I don't know who or heroes. I don't really know any of them.
I'm not about
I don't know who she could be, but like I said, she needs to be a figure point of the film that really carries this thing. And when it comes to Blade, Mahershala Ali, he's got to deliver because, I mean, you got Wesley Snipes you're going to get compared to. Good luck, dude. I mean, that dude's
seriously
awesome. You know what
I mean? What the hell? I'm not about to sit here and watch Robert Ebert talk about Cure for Wellness because all he does is like everything is bad. If it's not an Oscar,
Yeah,
it's not
I don't.
bad. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not gonna sit here and.
I'm very selective when it.
I can respect it. I mean, I can respect the guy, but I'm like, man, your job is to like critique everything. So
well, he's also one of the guys that craps on anything horror. So I kind of, I'm kind of jaded when it comes to the whole Roger Ebert
I'm like, okay,
nonsense, whatever. I mean,
look at that.
He tends to crap on.
There she is in a tub full of fucking like eels or snakes or some shit staring at him. I'm like, yeah, it'll fuck with your head.
Hey, I ain't mad at it.
No,
but yeah, like I said, I don't know. I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds interesting. I'll add that one to the list. But I don't know. The
kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. It's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, that's the psychological horror part.
Yeah, it starts making you feel really anxious and like icky. I'm like, ah.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like if you watch the trailer, it's like, don't drink the water. I'm like, yeah, like he's in his like room, he drinks his water, he stops, and he's like this little bug or some shit, like little parasite on his finger. I'm like, oh my god, no! It'll make your skin crawl, man. It's I don't know.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like how far do you, or not how far? How hard do you think they're going to go with this Blade movie? I mean, being realistic with it, this is MCU we're talking about.
Is it actually MCU? So
I believe, yeah. I mean, it's
not outside.
Because Blade was okay. Wait, let's see. He was the voice in that post-credit scene for Eternals, so he's obviously MCU property.
But that's the only time we've seen the Eternals, and we're pretty sure they're in the MCU too. But I'm like, yeah, but it felt like they were the only ones in this whole world too. I'm like, where's everyone else? Like, again, we're not going to talk about the whole big thing that came out of the fucking ocean.
Six say, yeah, they've yet to address there's like a hand sticking out of the earth. Like, they've yet to talk about that anywhere.
And the fact that they've said, like, all these people have been here since, like, the beginning of time. Like, yeah, and it's always the question of, okay, where the hell were you then when this happened? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's because, like, they're gods and they figure, well, we're not going to meddle with humans. I'm like, okay.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like,
Thanos isn't human.
When it comes to the Werewolf by Night, did you watch that back on Halloween?
I did not watch that, unfortunately.
Well, that takes place within like the now time of the MCU. Like they even show like an art drawing on the wall of the Avengers, like in their poses or whatever. But it feels like it's in like this little sub-dimension of itself.
Its own little world.
Because it's all in black and white, like the classic Universal monster movies were, until the very end. So it's obviously part of it, but is it like a pocket dimension within? I don't know how they didn't explain it. So like it would make more sense if Blade was in that world than in the regular MCU. But if they're going to put him in the proper MCU, I don't know what they're going to do. There's a lot of options here that they can go with. It's Marvel. You can never predict. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still on Disney. Sweet, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at Werewolf by Night. It's still on Disney. So
yeah, it was the Halloween special.
Yeah, have to give that a watch.
Sadly, like that was like my favorite Marvel thing, and it was only like 45 minutes long. I'm like, wait. You gave us like 15 hours of She-Hulk, and you can only give me 45 minutes of this good stuff? Like, come on, dude. What's crap here? I don't know.
To be fair, that's not a really hard bar to beat, but yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying.
Right, yeah.
We know what that was. That was, like you said, like that feels like it was ripped right out of a Universal Monsters movie era.
Oh, 100%, yeah. That Werewolf by Night, that was a love letter to Universal Monsters.
Yeah, like I was sold. Just on how that looked and how it felt. I'm like, see, I felt like, obviously this is where my youth goes wrong, but it's like, I felt like when I was a kid and I've seen like Dracula, I saw Wolfman. I think I even saw, did I see Creature of the Black Lagoon? I don't know. Because I didn't see like The Invisible Man and stuff like that until later, but like, I remember Dracula as a kid and I was like, he kind of creeped me out. I was like, Why is he always like this?
Lugosi and get creeped out.
Man, I watched Frankenstein, and at the end when he was just burning, I literally was just like, I feel so bad for him. Like you're kind of supposed to. I'm like, it's not really his fault. He didn't know.
Right? Yeah. No.
I was like, I feel bad.
Dr. Frankenstein's the real bad guy.
I think I called him Frankie. I was like, I feel bad for Frankie. I was like, damn it, why'd he die?
Well, that's what's so funny is that he's called Frankie in the DC world, like on the Creature Commandos. Like that's kind of his nickname. They call him Frankie. So I'm wondering if they're going to transfer that over to the Creature Commandos deal that they're doing. But I don't know.
Hold on, one of them. I can't remember which one I share. It is Boris Karloff that I share a birthday with, which is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Really, that's cool. Oh, we got Frank back.
Oh God, hi.
Jeez. That is the strangest thing. I had a power surge. I had a power surge that shut everything off, shut my computer off, shut the modem down, the whole smash.
Wow.
Really?
And right as I turned my computer back on to get back in here, it surged again and shut everything off. I was like, God damn it.
We were just bullshitting.
At least we can hear you now. At least you're not hardcore glitching out, you know.
Yeah,
hey, don't curse it. Don't curse it.
Knock on wood.
No, I don't know if you guys heard what I was trying to say. I was in the middle of my spiel when all that went down.
No.
No, we didn't hear any of that.
That if you want to make sure that you're getting real horror fans that aren't necessarily MCU fans, because MCU fans they're gonna get on their hands and knees and take whatever you give them. The hardcore MCU fans will. But if you really want to get some of the horror fans that aren't necessarily big MCU fans, you have to give them good horror content. Because horror fans are super fucking picky. The hardcore ones like you guys, like Tex.
Yeah,
they're really, really picky about the horror stuff that they will give their time to. And I think that Marvel is, by casting me a Goth, they're kind of saying, hey, we're gonna make sure we position ourselves to give you something that you guys are gonna like as horror fans, not as MCU fans necessarily, but as horror fans, to try to bring more people into the fold of the MCU, if for nothing else, if for Blade. So I think that's actually a really smart move on their part, and hopefully, having gone back to a page one rewrite on Blade like they did. They've actually kind of tightened the story up a lot too, and it's all going to work a lot better than the shit that it sounded like they were about to give us. So I think this all works out pretty good in the end. Also, this Jan Demage, who's directing it, he did White Boy Rick, which I haven't seen, but it was critically acclaimed, kind of a small movie. He also did Lovecraft Country, which I've heard a lot of people say is absolutely fantastic. I'm trying to make some time to actually start watching it, but he was heavily involved in that show as well. So, I mean, creatively, this is looking a lot better than what it was looking 6 months ago when we were a week away from filming, and then Mahershala Ali was like, "Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. We're going to have to go back and start this whole thing over again. I'm just going to walk away." But yeah, I mean, it's hopefully now that Big Papa Chapek is back, or Big Papa Iger is back, and Chapek has gone the way of whatever, that he's kind of putting the creators back in the positions that he had them in, and he can actually create great stuff. And I think this is a good sign. This is a good thing. Also, she actually begins filming Maxine soon, the third film in this in the Pearl trilogy, whatever it is. And as soon as she gets done doing that, she's going to be filming Blade in June. So here in just the next couple of months, she's going to be on set filming her stuff for Blade.
The Maxine film. It's the third in this trilogy. This is her character from X, not from Pearl. It's her character from X, and this is going to take place in Hollywood, set in the '80s underground porn scene. And they got Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian and Breaking Bad to play like a skeezy kind of producer, kind of just nasty kind of guy. This has the potential to be really cool as well. So I'm really looking forward to Maxine as well. I want to see that one.
Yeah, but let us know. We got to move on now, since that whole little power flub of mine kind of threw me away into chaos. This is going to be a long show anyway, because we
held it down for it.
Yeah, you guys did good. I was listening. But you guys go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Mia Goth has been cast for a yet unspecified role in the MCU's Blade film, which will begin shooting in June. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. On to our what is going to generate most of the discussion tonight.
Star Wars. That's it.
Star Wars.
In the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Now I got to go back to my thing. Let's see. Boy, that got me all messed up.
It's been a day for you, huh?
It has been a day for me. It has been definitely a day. I toyed with the notion of not even having a stream and pushing it back either tomorrow or Saturday night, but I was like, no, Thursday's our thing, and I want to do it.
Right.
But anyway, as soon as my I don't know why my graphic isn't coming up, but it is that time again. Star Wars Celebration did come back, and with it comes the inevitable flood of good news from a galaxy far, far away. This year's event took place in London, and we got plenty of news on Lucasfilm's future movie efforts, including a panel featuring its current crop of live-action filmmakers. Now, Jeremy, there was a whole lot of news that came out of this thing. I know that you guys have read all about it. What is one of the big things that jumps out at you that was actually announced at Star Wars Celebration?
Oh my God, the Old Republic. Thank you. I'm kind of indifferent to. I love how they did this. Like, here's the past, present, future. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm kind of indifferent to the whole. We're gonna make something with Filoni, making something in this universe that we're kind of in now with Mando. I could give a shit less about Rey Palpatine / Rey Skywalker. I don't give a fuck who your name is. I don't care.
Thank you.
Just because you said it doesn't make it fucking true. Whatever. I like the notion that I'm like, okay, maybe you realize the long arm of the fans smacked you across the face as soon as you said Rey Skywalker. Someone made a great cut from episode 2 of Newt Gunray. It was like at the end where she's like, I'm Rey Skywalker, and it cuts to him. He goes, she can't do that. Shoot her or something. I'm like, right, thank you. Yeah. But whatever. 15 years later, she's a Jedi Master trying to bring back the. I'm like, you don't show that little
Mary
kid.
Sue. Sorry.
Whatever. I would have been okay if she was like someone in the Kenobi family or something, but as predictable as that may have been, it's like, yeah, but it's not the Skywalkers. That's, we all come to expect that. Whatever. You don't leave that one Force-sensitive kid on Canto Bight and just leave me hanging there like, there's more Force-sensitive people in this world. Come on. But if the last, 3 or 4 times we've tried to have a Jedi Order and it falling on its face has not said anything, so I'm like, well, my only interest in it is that it is so far into the future now of, the timeline of Star Wars. I'm like, this is new territory, so I'm like, okay, but just be careful. However, the biggest chunk of stuff, again, someone like me who was really into some of the bigger canon world of the extended universe, stuff like that, especially if you've played Knights of the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic 2, that's an era that I know we all desperately want to see. Some of the first Jedi, you start seeing some of the older, when the Sith basically ruled the galaxy, that's what Palpatine was talking about. There used to be more the amount of Jedi there used to be to Sith. That was reversed at one point in time where there was just hundreds, thousands of Sith everywhere. Cool. That would be sweet to see. That's the kind of era we're talking about. That's what I want to see. So I was more interested in the stuff that's in the far past. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm with you on going back to before anything that we've gotten.
Yeah,
and exploring some of the origins of where this stuff comes from, because
there's a lot to explore.
I'm going to talk in a minute about James Mangold's project, which is really, really interesting to me. But Tex, you've read all the stuff, all the big announcements that came out of Star Wars Celebration. What's the one that jumps out at you?
Well, besides the one that Jeremy just mentioned, the one that stood out for me was the Mandoverse movie. That's kind of going to be the cap of everything that we're seeing from the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka, everything that kind of is wrapped up into this prior to the prequel trilogy. I'm curious to see, is this a big screen thing? I'm sure it probably is. Or is it like a Disney Plus thing? Where do they go with Grogu? We know he's 91 or something. I'll take that back.
50, right?
Apparently, whenever I'm curious to see where he's at in that Mandoverse movie, because in the stuff that I was reading, they said in that Rey Palpatine Skywalker nonsense of a movie, Grogu would be 91 to 100 years old or something.
Yeah.
So how far is Grogu going to be when that Mandoverse movie happens? Because
maybe he could be part of that Jedi Order she's doing. I'm like, yeah.
Right. Is he still a Padawan? Is he full on jet? What is he there? So, you would think with them with them doing a Mandoverse film, that would be the big wrap up of possibly the Mandalorian show. I don't know how long they're planning to do this Ahsoka Tano show thing. Maybe a couple seasons. You never know with these things.
She could play a part in it too, if she really wanted to. I mean,
right. Like I said,
I don't know how long her species lives. She's an alien, so I don't know. She could
right. That's what I'm saying. They have to wrap up this Mandalorian stuff before they get into the sequel trilogy because we don't see any of them in that. So that Mandoverse movie, that's gotta be a big one to wrap up a lot of loose ends. Hopefully,
before we get to the sequels.
Right. I mean, there was a ton of Easter eggs in this week's episode.
I was going to say there was something that I caught. I was like, oh, well, I get it.
We're probably talking about the same thing, but we'll get to that. But like I said, that's the one project for me that really stood out.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on both those accounts. I am more excited than you guys are, obviously, about Rey coming back. I actually like the Rey character. Force Awakens.
If they don't cut a limb off, she's not official. I'm just going to say that right now.
Can't be in the club.
Apparently, there's a whole new movie coming, so there's still time. But
that's what I'm saying.
You don't know what happened in those 15 years since. Man.
Yeah, I better see a scene where she gets a hand cut off, by God, or I don't count her.
You're not a real Skywalker if you don't lose a limb, damn it.
Remember, she's not a Skywalker, technically.
Well, she said she is, so.
But she just took the name Skywalker. But, if she wanted to,
no. Yeah, she culturally appropriated the name. If we're going to get all PC like these people like, she appropriated that name. By God.
She did that shit right in front of Luke and Leia's Force Ghost. That takes some balls. I'm not going to lie. So. But,
I'm really excited about getting back to some of the episodic stuff and following Rey rebuilding the Jedi. I think that's a really cool place to take things if you want to do 3 more movies. I really liked Force Awakens. Other 2 movies, meh. They have their issues. They're Star Wars. They're movies. But I think Rey's a solid character to move forward with. I actually, honestly, I like Daisy Ridley in the character. I was hoping they would move farther forward into her, 50s and just hire an older actress and, have her in the process
make her look
of
older.
I mean, they could, but it's like
simple prosthetics to make her look older.
Yeah, but I thought it would have been a little better that way. But whatever. I mean, she obviously wants to come back. Nobody else wants to come back, and they were all, for whatever reasons, they were all kind of smart on Star Wars, and they were done. But
Ryan Johnson for that nonsense.
What has she been doing since then? So
well. But I'm interested in seeing where they go with all that. Her building a new Jedi Order, I think, is interesting. The one that really gets me, though, is James Mangold's project. Remember, James Mangold is the guy that gave us Logan. He's the guy that's giving us the new Indiana Jones movie that a lot of people say is really, really good, which is going to be nice after that last piece of shit we got. Him going back to the Dawn of the Jedi, which is how this was described, as being going back to the Dawn of the Jedi. That was the direct quote. That's really interesting to me. Going back to where all this stuff began. I mean, to go see the OG Jedis, like the original 9, to use the Sons of Anarchy term, to go back to the OG Jedis that made the rules that govern this entire group in the first place. It's interesting. I'm with Dave Filoni, his film that's going to be connecting directly to the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Book of Boba Fett. They have not given any release dates to any of this stuff yet. They just said these are projects they're pushing forward on. So it doesn't necessarily say that this is going to be the last season of Mandalorian, or that this is we're going to get so many seasons of Ahsoka, or that we can expect another season of Book of Boba Fett. It's hard to draw that out of any of this. I assume that we're going to get at least 2 seasons of Ahsoka and maybe 1 more season of Book of Boba Fett that's going to kind of lead into all this stuff. And, of course, probably another season or so of The Mandalorian where Pedro can fit that into his ever-busy schedule when he's not, protecting people from viruses and doing all kinds of other shit. But that's interesting to me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of bring these 3 things together into a bigger, hopefully, film. I don't want to see it on Disney Plus. I want a film, damn it. I want a full-size movie, one that goes balls out. I want a great Star Wars epic thing. That's what I want from everything Star Wars. So I'm hoping it's a film. A couple other things. I mean, Bad Batch is returning for season 3 for its 3rd and final season. I don't know if you guys have even watched Bad Batch. I've been wanting to. I just don't have time.
I haven't watched any of it at all. I know nothing about it.
The trailer for Visions Volume 2 came out. I guess that's like their version of What If. I haven't watched any part of that either, so I'm not entirely sure. Another thing that I'm interested in is the Acolyte. Here's why this is interesting to me. This show is going to focus on the dark side of the Force. And we've always seen the dark side of the Force, with the exception of maybe like Palpatine and Vader, who are significant to the entire universe, have been for, since 77 when this movie first came out. We've always seen the dark side as kind of this framing reference for the good that is the light side of the Force. I like the idea that we're going to be focusing on the dark side and some of these characters getting into a little more. Because like I said, other than one or two characters, we haven't really delved into what it's like to be a dark Jedi. Who are these people? What are they really after? How can we make them? Can they be the bad guys and still make us interested and care about their characters? We cared about Darth Vader, one way or another. We cared about him. We haven't really had that kind of exposure. And to top it off, they've got Carrie-Anne Moss for the Matrix movies, which I think is interesting. She's a hell of an actress. And they have Lee Jung Jae, I think is how you pronounce it, from Squid Game. So they've got some talent. Who was directing it? I didn't write down who was directing it, but I like the idea that we're going to focus. We're going to give a little bit of attention to the dark side. I think that's going to be fun.
So are we going to do Darth Revan? Because I am going to shit if I see Darth Revan on the main screen.
So we could.
I hope so.
But we could. Also, they announced that Andor Season 2 is now in production. I don't know what that means, now in production. It could just mean that they decided to do it. I don't know how close that is. They did say it was going to be a couple of years before we got a second season of that. I only got a chance to watch the first couple episodes, and I got pulled away kind of by life. But I liked it. Andor really the dark, seedy underbelly of the rebellion. It's like you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, and this is the show that shows those eggs getting broke. And it's very dark, and you question the ambiguity of some of these people when they're doing terrible things for good reasons. I mean, in the first couple minutes of the first episode, he's meeting with some guy about some shady shit, I forget what, and they end up getting seen by some police officers or whatever, and when they're trying to run away, Andor basically says, well, sorry, buddy, it was you or me, and then he just blasts him and leaves him there in the alley and takes off. and that's kind of what the whole season was about, is the dark side of the rebellion that we all have seen for decades now as the good guys. We have to remember, they haven't exactly done the right thing to do the right thing. You know what I mean? So, I think it's interesting. Also, another big piece of news: we're getting Grand Admiral Thrawn, baby. He is going to be live action, played by Lars Mikkelsen. He has been cast.
Yeah, we're getting Thrawn finally.
It was announced during the Ahsoka panel,
right?
Which I think is pretty telling, because I think he's going to end up being a pretty important part of that TV series. Also, I don't know if you noticed, and we'll talk about this in just a minute. He actually did get a name drop episode of The Mandalorian as well.
I was gonna say, well, he just got name dropped in Mando, so he's
coming. The first 5 minutes of the
right. He's coming.
Yeah, so that character is definitely going to be important to a couple of different properties moving forward. Yeah, and also we got along with that, they also gave us the official date for Ahsoka. It's going to start streaming in August of this year, 2023. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, Grand Admiral Thrawn, that's the big one. Jeremy, do you think they could actually show us Grand Admiral Thrawn on screen somewhere in the next couple episodes of The Mandalorian, maybe in a post-credit scene at the end? Or do they wait until Ahsoka comes out in the fall before they actually let us see him?
Well, since he's not just obviously going to be involved in the little bubble of just Ahsoka, or not just one thing. So, like I said, he was name dropped in Mando, so I would think maybe to have a fun little setup, since Ahsoka's not coming till later this year. I wouldn't say. I mean, we're not. I know we're not talking about Star Wars. We're not there yet, but I mean, we just had a big bad boy show up in this last episode of Mando, so. Maybe not the best time yet, but I mean, maybe at the end to try to propel it into it might be more focused in Ahsoka, but maybe a hint towards him at the end of this season of Mando or something, if he's going to be in this whole. He's kind of like your next big bad to these different shows, and if it's going to tie whatever the movie could be too, we don't know that movie that Filoni's doing could also maybe be part of it. If we're going to have all this get connected together with Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Mando, maybe the movie could be your final, hurrah end game of this whole era that we're in right now. So I'd say maybe pocket it for now, because you got Moff Gideon rocking that sweet fucking armor. I'm not gonna lie, that thing was awesome. Yeah, like the little Darth Maul almost horns on that helmet too.
That wasn't pretty dope.
Dude, that
shit.
dark armor suit was fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not even mad that he even has the fucking cockiness to be like, and you know what the best upgrade was to it? I'm in it. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. You're right. You're right. So, yeah, maybe save a big reveal and then maybe make him more in Ahsoka. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Also, they gave us not a big surprise. They kind of veered away from Star Wars a little bit and gave us another trailer for Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch that or not.
Not yet.
If you did it do anything for you? Did it change your anticipation for the movie at all?
I'm worried. I'm from the leaks that I've heard of this film. The more I see of the trailers, it kind of lends some credibility for me, at least, that they might be actually true. And if so, I'm gonna hate it.
I've heard that same thing where people are like, "Oh, we're worried now." I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch it now. I don't want to get upset.
I don't want this to be true because the trailers look great. I mean, the de-aging on Harrison Ford is incredible.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah.
I mean, holy crap! It's scary. Okay, if they can do this, you need to stop believing anything you ever see on screen ever again.
Oh yeah, because
it looks like he's legitimately in the room, and it's got scary real world implications. But I'm going to try not to go Alex Jones on y'all too bad. But the leaks that. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard the leaks. It's no secret, but I'm not going to say it for the ones who haven't heard it. I don't want these to be true, but I'm worried they are. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not overly worried. I mean, like I said, James Mangold directed it. And James Mangold has given us some pretty good movies lately. More importantly, he gave us Logan, which I think needs to be in the discussion for top three, or even at least top 5 comic book movies ever made. That
at least it's the best. I mean, I even said it earlier. It's the best X-Men movie ever made, and it's not even an X-Men movie; it's a Western movie.
Yeah,
I mean that's how good it was. Yeah,
but I'm not too worried about it. Look, I got to be honest. I don't want to see their trailer. I know Indy's coming back. Indy's going to do adventurous indie stuff, which is all I really want the movie at its core. And I want to see if this is the end for Indiana Jones, at least the Harrison Ford version of Indiana Jones, then I want to make sure that this is a good ending for him and for the character at the same time. For his run as the character and his version of the character at the same time. I don't know.
Watch the trailer after this. If you see me blow up on Twitter, you'll know I saw it.
I don't know. Indiana Jones has been
belongs in a museum.
It's been so maligned over this course of its history anyway. I mean, it's like Raiders of the Lost Ark comes out and everybody loves it. It's a great movie. And then the second one, Temple of Doom, comes out and it doesn't really resonate with people. The third one comes out and it's by far the best of the entire franchise. Yeah. All kinds of talent, great story, great action. I mean, that's the perfect Indiana Jones film. And then after probably too long, we get the crap fest that was Kingdom of the Crystal
Skull,
whatever the hell that movie was. But yeah,
I mean, for the one we don't speak of.
Yeah, as revered as this character and this franchise has been as a whole, you gotta admit, it's like every other movie has kind of been a bit of a shitter. I mean, Temple of Doom isn't terrible. Nobody hates it, but nobody thinks it's the best Indiana Jones movie either.
Wow.
The last movie was terrible, so this one's got a lot riding on it.
I mean, we've said it on here before. Indiana Jones is best when he's working with Nazis. Or not working with, but against Nazis. Right? I should probably rephrase that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm curious to see. The main thing I'm looking for, like, how much real world do they bring into this from, like, Operation Paperclip, which we know actually is a real thing. I mean, how much real life do they bring into this false story? That might be, obviously the time travel thing. That's going to be interesting, but that's also worrisome. But I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
we don't know, but we
also-
don't know if it's going to be time travel or if it's going to be flashbacks, because we don't even know what this Dial of Destiny does. Is it a thing like the
It
time
sounds like
turner
something
in
you
Harry
could-
Potter? Where
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Time move. I mean, is it going to be something like that,
Well,
or is it something else?
For one thing, we already
Right.
suggested with these movies that I'm like, oh, these biblical things are real, and they do shit like melt your face off, and grant you immortality. So we're like, yeah, time travel doesn't really seem all that weird. And I know we had, I almost threw up saying it. Wow, aliens. No, I should have done the dude. Aliens. We needed that graphic right there. But man, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think maybe we've learned not to nuke the fridge. So, that's the lesson learned here. And maybe they're like, okay, maybe we should I almost said dial it back. We should dial it back on the ridiculous stuff. But I mean, to be fair, like I said, this was kind of, did you expect him to actually literally find the Ark of the Covenant, the actual Holy Grail? It's like, yeah, that's what makes it a fun adventure movie, that you're finding these religious relics, and then some weird voodoo stones from a village. But that we don't. Temple of Doom isn't bad. It wasn't a crystal skull, so whatever.
Yeah, that's true. It fits in with the original trilogy of good movies pretty well.
Yeah, like
it's
I'll
not the best of them, but it fits in.
I'll take voodoo stones over crystal skulls any day. So
Any day.
100%.
Yeah.
But so there was some big news that came out of Star Wars Celebration. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. What's one of the stories that we went over, or maybe even some stuff that we didn't go over? I mean, I didn't really put too much attention on Bad Batch because I haven't watched it yet. Visions, I haven't watched it yet. But I mean, there was a lot of news that came out of Star Wars Celebration. So go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think was the biggest piece of news to come out of London this year. I think the next celebration is in Mexico. I think Mexico or something like that. That's going to be the next Star Wars Celebration. I forget. But yeah, it's going to be somewhere. So next year we'll be going through all this again. And now on to our final topic. Time to break it all down for episode 7 of The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian very much got back on track, got back on better footing this week. The 7th episode of the season sees Din Djarin and Bo-Katan Kryze lead their newly recruited group of Mandalorians back to their homeworld, only to find out that Moff Gideon has set up a base and stolen their precious Beskar armor to make his own army. The episode starts us on what looks to be a mad sprint to the end of season 3 with only 2 episodes left. So I'll go to you first, Jeremy. I mean, there's a lot to go into in this episode. Pretty fast-paced episode. Put all the pieces in place for, like I said, what's going to be a dash to the end of this thing. What do you think of Mandalorian episode 7?
Well, first of all, Iron Grogu. So, you know what? I think I said this the last 2 episodes or something.
Yes. No.
That was as funny as that was. It got a little obnoxious, but I'm like, yeah, he's a kid, whatever. I kind of had to be like, I almost wanted to smacked him, stop it, Jesus Christ, child, we're in public. But I lost my fucking train of thought there. I'm just I think that happened kind of early. I think the last two, like I said, reviews, I was like, because I just remember it. I'm like, are we going to do anything about that IG-11 thing?
They did kind of walk away from it suddenly, which was really odd.
I know. I was like, well, we mentioned it, and I was like, okay, interesting point. And I mean, the bigger, again, that's if it's framed like a video game, that's a side quest, and then your big main story is, oh crap, we need to go back to Mandalore. It's like, okay, fine, I can forgive you for kind of that's not exactly a priority. But I was still just like, are we straight up just gonna not do that now? And then as soon as that fucker walked in there, I was like, wait, there's a little Babu Frick in there. I'm like, okay, what happened? What was the whole? And as soon as Carl Weathers puts him in there, I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Shut up. This child is gonna. Okay, you know what? I'm not mad. I kind of feel like, like we even said, Grogu doesn't really do a whole lot. He does, but in a way, it's like he's this big. I mean, yeah, he can backflip and he can force push out monsters that are 20 times his size. But I'm like, this has some potential that if he can like get a grip on this thing pretty fast, I'm not even mad that he can sit here and be running with all these Mandalorians in a gunfight. You know, he doesn't have any weapons. I'm like, but if you outfit that thing with like a lightsaber or give him like a little Beskar, like a blast shield or something right there, for fuck's sake, he's like exposed, man. Like
make the whole thing out of Beskar, out of the armor. Just you know, just cover that whole thing in it. You know?
If they get to that Great Forge, which I mean, with how that ended, I'm like, we're not looking so hot. This is some Empire Strikes Back kind of shit. We could maybe outfit that thing with some pretty dope weaponry and some armor, but until that point, man, this was kind of fun. This was cool seeing everybody well, I'd say come together, but the very heavy-handed visual of like Paz Vizsla and Axe Wolves like sitting there playing chess with each other. I'm like, oh, they're gonna fight. This has been their relationship this whole time. They're just sitting there like eyeball and trying to strategize their way around one another. And even Bo-Katan was just like, yeah, well, this was gonna happen at some point. So,
but I thought that was interesting. Her reaction though, it's just kind of like the Warriors' way of dealing with this stuff. It's not let them fight it out.
Yeah, even did Jaren's like, shouldn't we step in? She's like, nah. I'm like, yeah. Even that is their thing. Because even Paz Vizsla's like, yeah, either step out or step in, dude. I'm like, oh god, guys, right now, come on.
The thing I didn't like about that scene was Grogu getting in the middle of it.
I thought it was kind of telling though. He was the one who was like, hey, stop. I was like,
yeah, but why let them fight in the first place? I don't know. It's just something about him being the one to break it up. I didn't quite get it. Was there supposed to be some metaphor there that I missed?
Like, no, I just thought it was kind of like he's not.
I think there was.
He's not really a Mandalorian, but I was just like, he's the one that got them two to stop fighting. I'm like, wow, this little child is the one who told you, like, guys, why are we fighting? Really?
Well, think about it. Whenever Bo and Din are standing there and they watch Grogu stop that, Bo's like, oh, well, you taught your apprentice well. And he's like, oh, I didn't teach him that.
It's like, I didn't do that.
I think that's some, like, Jedi mind trick stuff.
Could have been.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, because think about it. He's a youngling in this Mandalorian tribe or whatever they go by. I don't even know. And you would think that if a youngling would have stepped in, they were like, no, you just get out of here. You know what I mean? You're a kid. But they just stop on a dime. And for Din to stand up and say, oh, well, I didn't teach him that. And then they show Grogu real tight. I think that was some Jedi like, oh, these aren't the droids you're looking for kind of thing. And they just move on. You know what I mean?
Ironically, him being part droid now or some shit.
Right. Even though he's part droid, that's
well, sir, are you saying it would it have maybe been different if like Paz Vizsla's kid came up and said, hey, guys, quit? Because I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If it had been any of those other kids, they would have been like, "Hey, get this little snot nose out of the way. We're trying to handle business here."
The adults are fighting. Go away.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, but Grogu steps in and literally just with a touch, and it's over. I'm thinking that's some Jedi mind trick stuff that they're working with.
Maybe it's that meme where he's like, they don't know. Maybe Paz Vizsla knows, but like Axe Wolves doesn't know like what this kid's capable of, and it's that meme where he's like, "Well, he could have, but I wasn't gonna fuck around to find out." I'm like, right. You didn't know what he was capable of, so I don't know.
It's on. I mean, it's what made the most sense to me. I mean, besides that, how cool was that freaking pirate ship thing that they're going on? Like, I want one of those. That thing was freaking awesome. Like,
that was pretty good.
Out of all
Dune.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, out of all the new ships I've seen in this show, that one's my favorite because it like kind of hovers, but it floats on the ground. Like it's got like it's kind of like a hybrid thing. Like I want one of those to just drive around every day. Like, can I get one? Can I build it? I don't know. But
I even like the kind of like Wastelander looking like Mandalorians that they found. Those three guys that were like had like the ratted clothes and the shoveled, helmets.
Right,
and whatnot. Like they feel lived in, and that, like I said, that thing looks very something they could have put together with whatever's left on the runes of Mandalore. So yeah, that thing was pretty sweet looking. Rest in peace, though. It didn't last long because there's always a bigger fish. There's always some big fucking monster for no reason. And I'm like, well, into that.
My first question was, how long did it take them to paint that freaking Mandalorian sign on the undercarriage of that Star Destroyer?
True.
Good Lord. I mean, that's got to be.
Space tech, so it was probably just some weird paint spray. There's like,
I mean, how many gallons of paint did it take to paint an entire Star Destroyer with your monster mythosaur thing on it or whatever? Holy crap!
There's a Star Wars version of Pit My Starfighter. That's what happened.
Right. Well, I mean, because in the beginning of the episode, we see Moff Gideon. He's like, oh well. We're dealing with Mandalorians, and I need escorts, and I need this ship and that ship. When they showed that Star Destroyer, I was like, oh crap, he got all that stuff. I thought that was for Moff Gideon.
I thought it was too.
It kind of threw me off, and then they're like, no, look, the Mandalorian symbols on Carl Weathers, as awesome as he is in this season. He's like, no, look on the underside. They acquired that after the Empire fell or whatever. But
that still kind of made me unsettled because let's talk about that first scene though. When Moff Gideon walks in on that little therapy session of all those like Imperial and former Imperial officers. When they said like Mandalorians, he said which Mandalorians? I'm like, oh crap, you're right, because that you don't know who those could have been. First of all, the big guy, the bald guy who was one of those dudes, he was the butler from Would You Rather, and I was like, holy shit, that is him. That's really cool. I'm like, he plays a bad guy really well, so I love it. Also, are we suggesting that's a very young General Hux that we just
actually
saw?
It's his dad.
Okay, because I was trying to think timeline wise. I'm like, I don't know if that'd be correct. I mean, because what's his name? Gleason is not that old in the movie, and this kid looked like he was maybe in his 20s. I'm like, yeah, you figure this is already like halfway to the Force Awakens. I'm like, I could believe it. He'd be in his like mid-30s or so.
Yeah, that was actually Brendel Hux. He's the father of Armitage Hux, who was the one that we saw in the new trilogy.
Okay.
So it's actually played by Domhnall Gleeson's younger brother.
I was wondering if it was. That's cool. That's really cool.
But one real quick thing on IG-11 before you move off, and I think they refer to him as IG-12 now at this point, is that Grief Karga does say that his memory circuit is resting comfortably elsewhere. So there's could be this opportunity for him to come back, maybe plug him in, and him and Grogu working together kind of as one unit. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I thought that was kind of interesting. But well, yeah, when
there was one other thing in that scene with Moff Gideon. I think we called this, and we get where this is going. Oh, good, he's back. Because I was about to say this. I'm like, when they mentioned something called Project Necromancer, I'm like, oh shit, that is it.
Yeah.
Even if you know remotely what a necromancer is, I'm like, oh, we're bringing people back.
And then they show those cloning tubes that look very similar to the ones from the Star Wars prequel trilogy.
So this is that setup of them doing it. Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Like, I'm not the most advanced Star Wars fan, but even I know to pay attention to when I see those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm like,
holy crap.
We're bringing people back from the dead. I'm like, so we were right. This is what that's setting up, kind of in this part of the galaxy is them working on that project. Because they even said, like, they mentioned Dr. Pershing. I'm like, yeah, maybe they did just kind of wipe his mind to the point where they can probably manipulate him into just work. He wanted to do it for good, but I'm like, well, I don't know. That's kind of a weird.
Well, we know where it ends up. It ends up with Palpatine and his clones. We know where the story goes. You know what I mean?
Well, and I wondered if maybe
I was wondering that from the very beginning.
Well, is this also?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Is that also the setup for? Because I know everyone kind of got disappointed with what's the dude's name? The guy that got cut in half by Kylo Ren.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? The big 7-foot tall guy Andy Serkis played.
Oh, Snoke.
Snoke.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone had a theory that like he was maybe like some weird, like off-brand child of like them trying to make a clone of something that was, because they're like, the way he looks. I'm like, maybe that's kind of their first trial run of it because everyone's just like, here's Snoke. There he goes. I'm like, oh.
Well, you saw Snoke in Rise of Skywalker at Palpatine's base when you finally go there. There's a bunch of those pods in it that have like versions of Snoke that look like they failed on. So
that's what I'm saying. I think that was their first. that was maybe their first success of it, and then
that's the pods that I was talking about. Whenever I saw him in this episode, I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen that before.
Yeah,
he walks by, and it's only like 2 seconds, and it's gone. And if you don't miss it, I mean, if you don't see it, you miss it or whatever.
Yeah,
but that's what spurred my mind when I saw all that.
So maybe this does help a little bit with the sequel trilogy. It's like, okay, we're getting where all this stuff came from now, because it felt kind of disappointing that it was just kind of here and gone. Just like, I still don't think they're gonna explain how the hell Luke Skywalker's saber got from some hole in Bespin to Maz Kanata. I'm like, you're never going to explain that, and I'm still mad at you for it. But
it was the Force did it. That's all you need to know. The Force did it.
Don't give me that God works in mysterious ways shit, Jax. God damn it.
It was the midi-chlorians. You wouldn't understand. The midi-chlorians were very high, and it got it. Just accept.
All right.
Well, even when Dr. Pershing was giving his little TED talk a couple episodes ago, when we first see him kind of reintroduced to the world, he's talking about cloning all that, and I'm like, well, that's kind of obvious that this is where this is all headed, is that we're at some point going to see at least what leads to the cloning and the reemergence of the Emperor. So, I mean, I was kind of like, but now how do we get there? That's going to be the fun part. It's like I can see the road ahead of me. I can see the bumps, but I still want to go drive on the bumps because it's fun. But
right.
But the one thing that jumps out at me is this whole Shadow Council thing. When Moff Gideon has his little Skype meeting with Ella through the probe droid, he walks into this meeting, all the holograms that you were talking about, Jeremy, and for one, this is where we get the first name drop, as we were talking about earlier, of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn is still out there, part of it. Thrawn actually is very big across a couple of different mediums of Star Wars. Not so much the movies, but books, comics, other things, so animated stuff, obviously. So it's going to be fun to see him finally brought into live action, them really kind of flesh him out. But also, it seems like Moff Gideon is, when he walks in, he's part of this Shadow Council. But when he walks out, he's running things. He kind of like lays the law down and says, "Look, do you even know where Grand Admiral Thrawn is at?" And they're like, well, it was like, well, he hasn't made himself known for quite some time now. So here's what we have to assume, is that either he's not around anymore or he doesn't give a shit and he's off doing something else. So somebody needs to step up and be the man, and it's going to be me. And I want all this armor. I want these ships. I want these, I forget what they're called, the
Praetorian Guards.
The ones we see.
Did he freeze again?
I forget the bag getting out.
Oh shit, he froze again.
At the end.
The Praetorian Guards. Yeah.
Praetorian Guards, that's it. I don't know why I didn't write the name down. But
it's all good.
Yeah, so he gets all this stuff. So obviously he's kind of taking control of the shadow government. So one of the questions is he doing this on behalf of the Empire, or is he doing this just on his own? Is he kind of branched off and he's doing his own thing now? I feel like he's kind of doing his own thing because, like most bad guys, he's power hungry. You know? I mean, does that make sense to you guys?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of the one who's like, fine, I'm going to get this done then. You know what I mean? He's like, I need this, and this from you guys, and I'm going to go do this. Like, you know, he's not afraid to step out there and actually, you know, get his hands dirty and do some of the work. So that's what makes him a great bad guy. So
well, not even just that, but Moff Gideon is one of those bad guys that he's a loyal dark side server, but he's really loyal when it serves his purpose. But he's not above going a little outside the lines if it serves him better. You know what I'm saying? He's a team player, but at any point in time he could say, you know what, I'm the captain now. You know, to pull the movie reference here.
He went on that little side quest, and hey, he got a sweet set of armor out of it. So I mean,
right? I mean, he must have knew what Darth Vader's suit looked like because he pretty much copied it with Darth Maul's spikes.
Oh my god, it looks so goddamn cool. Like,
dude, it looks.
If I could have a set of armor from Star Wars, it would be one of those. That is pretty fucking cool.
But yeah, I mean, he's. I mean, as good as a lot of the acting is on this show, Giancarlo, he's the class.
Oh, he steals it, man. Yeah.
I mean, he walks into a room. He's the guy you want negotiating for you, not against you. Is what he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love like the way his facial expressions can just change. Like he could be sitting there talking to you about something with a smile, then he just drops his face and looks right through your soul. I'm like, God damn, you're scary, man.
Right.
And he'd be totally dead serious too. Like this guy would kill you in an instant if he wanted to.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, I mean, when he's sitting there,
He carries himself. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's taking command, it's like, oh shit. Okay. Well,
He ain't playing
I guess we work for you now. All right. Well, cool. Whatever. I don't want to die. Don't kill me. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, another interesting part of this episode was, story-wise, was Bo-Katan finally coming clean about the deal that she made with Gideon and how he got the Darksaber to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he did he screwed her over, because that's what bad guys do, is they screw you over when they make a deal with you.
Right.
And that's one of the things that kind of led to the destruction of the Mandalore homeworld. And she's kind of feeling that right now. It makes me not hate that scene in the last episode as much where he gives her the sword back. I still hate it. It still sucks, and I still wish they never would have done it. And I still think it's one of the worst things they ever done in Star Wars. It makes me not hate it as much, but that's like saying that Sarah nerve gas isn't as deadly as it was a minute ago. It's still deadly and sucks, and it's not good. But I mean, it helps you kind of understand her background a little bit more. I don't know exactly how much now, Jeremy, you watched a lot more of the animated stuff than I did. I don't know how much it goes into her background, at least dealing with the Mandalorian homeworld falling to Moff Gideon in the animated stuff. But it was nice to see them kind of flesh this out and kind of give us that big piece of her story at the end. How closely does that resemble stuff that we've gotten from the animated stuff?
I haven't seen the animated stuff in so damn long, but what I like about it is even in both, it's like, I hate to try and compare, because my defense of Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy was kind of like, you got to understand, it's like they kind of had this on a smaller scale here with those guys that they found, those the Mandalorians that stayed behind on Mandalore. And, as soon as they like, oh my God, is that Bo-Katan? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, holy crap. Like, they just quite literally met royalty. And to someone like all these Mandalorians, that's your personal power. And they, because like he says, like, oh, we never gave up hope. We knew you'd never leave us, or abandon us to die. And it's like that whole like, oh crap, I'm built up into this, big like almost mythic kind of being to these people. And it's like, I kind of gave you hope for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? Like everyone was like, oh my God, where's Luke Skywalker? With the great Jedi master from the war. Where's Luke Skywalker? And he's kind of like, dude, I am not like what you think I am. And it sucks kind of having your soul crushed when you look up to this person that you may not have actually met, but like you idolize in a way. And it's like, oh, she did give up, and she did, and she's even kind of like, well, that's what I had to do though. And if I hadn't, this probably would have been a lot worse. So she carries that regret, and they can kind of see it. They're like, oh, crap. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't really remember, but like it's. I think that is how he gets the Darksaber in the first place, because that has to go from. That's the last person we saw when we saw him in like what, season 1 when he had the Darksaber.
The end of season 1, I think, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, that's the next person in line that had it until like now. Because I do like that line where he turns around and sees her and he's like, hey, we got to stop meeting like this. And she's like, I should have killed you, seriously. Or he's like, yeah, we got to stop meeting like that. She's like, oh, I will make sure of it this time. I'm like, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right.
So maybe you learned your lesson that time. Like maybe don't just give it up. Although, man, you took a big crap on my head there at the end of this episode, man. I was like, no. I know it's the most cliched. Ugh.
Homeboy went out like a boss.
He did the Boromir thing, man. Oh my God. Do we want to talk about that now before I get?
Yeah, let's go. I mean, that was going to be one of the next things I went to, anyways.
That's what the fever pitch of this episode. I mean, I think it's funny that, like, again, we had these two guys that were just a few hours ago fighting on this pirate ship. Those are the two guys that did something about this. Remember, Axis Wolves went up out of the mine shaft there, went up to the surface to go help. And then Paz Vizsla is the
See,
one
I
who,
totally expected to see him get shot down.
I was worried because they kept
The way
cutting
they were
back.
building that up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the whole back and forth. Oh, well, it's our only hope, blah, 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 right? And then he takes off halfway up, and then you see maybe Moff Gideon or somebody just blast him right out of the sky like it's duck season, you know.
But I was kind of worried too because they kept cutting back to the armorer taking the people back up into the ship on orbit. I'm like, why do we keep? I'm like, are they going to get there and then like all of a sudden the Empire is going to be there, or are they about to get like shot down?
Yeah.
I'm like, why do we keep showing this? I'm like, why is this making me uncomfortable? I'm like, are they about to get like turned on? I'm like, oh crap.
So you're saying that you had a bad feeling about that?
I had a bad feeling about that. Well, I wanted to see when they're like, oh, those aren't Mandalorians, they're Imperials, and I was like, can we cut to Poe Dameron? They fly now. They fly now. I'm like, I can't. That sequel trilogy has so many memes. It was right there. I knew this was gonna be like after those two had their little tussle. I'm like, and then this whole fight kicked off. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be that cliche of like, oh, one of them's gonna get pinned down or almost die, and then they're gonna lock eyes, and it's like, oh, they're gonna save one another or something. You know what I mean? Where they gotta just like suck it up, and they're like, I gotta save them now. But no, that didn't happen, and you did the most cliched crap where they're stuck in that little not airlock, but the doors came down. And of course, Paz Vizsla being like the most tanky, like juggernaut of all of them. He's a badass. He's like sitting there like, I'll lay down some fire.
He's got my favorite armor. I like his helmet. His helmet, the best. It's got the different cut to it. It's like it doesn't come down as far. He has my favorite armor out of all of them. I like his.
Yeah, it's not as like Spartan looking as like the other ones. It is
right. It's like more cut on the jawline than like a square flat bottom. It's got a different.
He fills it out.
Feel to it.
But I knew, like, man, she cuts Bo-Katan cuts that hole in the blast door, and then they get through, and of course, you know, I'm like, I already see it. He's like, oh, go ahead, I'll hold him off. I'm like, don't you fucking dare, don't. And of course, he's the last one. She's like, let's go, and he's like, hits the door. I'm like, you dick, no.
Well, they kind of telegraphed that move.
I know, but I was hoping not. Now, I'm not gonna say this dude put up a goddamn fight. When I say this man went full juggernaut on these Imperials, that was pretty awesome. Of course, he hits the damn door.
He melted down the barrel of that gun. Holy crap, dude.
I kind of figured, I'm like, I know everyone made a big hoopla about like, oh, there's fuel in Star Wars now. I'm like, well, yeah, why wouldn't there be? I know you never want to think about it. It's space technology. Who cares? But I'm like, yeah, that's probably a thing. I always wonder about these guns. I'm like, because in the video games, that's a big, ammo's a big thing. I'm like, well, how do you do that with Star Wars? It doesn't technically ever run out. It just has like an active, like you have to cool it down, and you don't want the barrel to overheat. I'm like, that makes sense.
Right.
And yeah, when he fired that gun until them fucking barrels melted. I was like, oh,
that thing looked like magma in his hand.
And then threw the melted gun at somebody.
It did.
Right.
Oh my god.
I was like, here, hold this molten metal. Damn.
I mean, you want to laugh when like John Wick throws an empty gun at somebody, or even that hilarious thing in Saving Private Ryan, Tom Sizemore just throws his helmet at the Nazi. I'm like, well, yeah, what are you going to do? You got to do something. You got to throw something at him.
Bro.
And, man, he went down to, like, shields and the little shield and his fist and that little knife. We finally saw those guards that I think we see in The Last Jedi. Those ones that were in the throne room with Snoke. As soon as he said Praetorian guards, I'm like, wait, are those same guys? Oh, shit.
Were those lightsabers that they had or something similar?
It's something similar because, like, you remember Grievous's bodyguards? They had those staffs, and then the weird shit that was on the end of them, the little energy.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that because that's the only reason why. If you watch that movie, it's like, wait, why are they tussling with Jedi? I'm like, because those things were actually made out of Beskar as well, and then that was the only thing that could really combat a Jedi. I'm like, I think that's the technological advancement of like something like that's able to stand up against like lightsabers and obviously Beskar. Because obviously, the Mandalorians and the Jedi got into a war, and I mean, you can't really, Beskar and lightsabers aren't really the best of friends, but that's how they won the war.
Didn't they create the Beskar armor to battle the Jedi at one point?
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. They were like, oh, when we go to shoot these Jedi, they can just block laser bolts, and then the Mandalorians are like, wait, let's use real bullets. Block that shit at fragments. It kills you. I'm like, Mandalorians are smart. That's what they did to win that war. That's so damn funny.
The armor and lightsabers may not be friends, but they will be in the future. I mean, Grogu's going to have a full-on robot Beskarian armor thingy with a lightsaber in his hand at some point. You know it's coming.
He better have like a little gun on his side than like a lightsaber or some shit.
Right. Cool. Like he's going to have a robot. He's going to have his own suit of armor, a robot, a lightsaber, and a blaster. Grogu's going to be the new Mary Sue of Star Wars. He's never going to face anything ever. Like he's going to be able to forget Yoda, forget Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. Nope. Grogu is the end all be all of Star Wars.
You're gonna see Daisy Ridley there, and you're gonna see some IG-11 walk in, and you're like, God damn it, there he is.
Ray's gonna be like, oh crap, I thought I was strong. I'm way outclassed here. So yeah, it's coming.
It does lead me to a question. Now, we talked about Grand Admiral Thrawn. They've officially cast him. We don't yet know how this story for this season is going to play out. Could Grand Admiral Thrawn, if he does pop into this season of The Mandalorian for his first appearance, could he be the one to come in and kind of snap Moff Gideon back in check? Because it's clear that either he's overreaching his position or he's just going rogue and doing shit on his own. This seems like it would be one of those times, and him name dropping Moff Gideon, saying Moff Gideon hasn't been around. Where is Moff Gideon? Where is this Moff Gideon? That might be the time where Moff Gideon says, "I'm right here, bitch," and I want to remind you who exactly is running the ship right now. I mean, is there a possibility for you, Jeremy, that maybe somewhere towards the end of the last episode, that's kind of where Grand Admiral Thrawn pops in and says, "I'm here, bitch. I'm going to be a big part of Star Wars moving forward."
Yeah, you mean Thrawn, not Gideon. I was like, Gideon is the one right now who's acting like I'm in charge of this shit.
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's what I was saying earlier. I think when you asked, I was like, I think I'd rather see him, like at the end of this series. Because, I mean, now you just not dropped, but like you kind of brought back one of your big bad guys with Moff Gideon. Like in this, we get 2 episodes left. So this is either going to end real fast for him or something's going to happen. And I bet you that's kind of your, like, this is your Ultron and Thrawn's like your Thanos. Like, this is going to be, he steps in and maybe at the end of it, and that's where we leave it. And then I don't know what, like, I don't know if they're doing any more Book of Boba Fett, because if the next thing is just Ahsoka in, like, August, I mean, where do we leave that off? Because that's in the same well, they're all in the same time period right now, I guess, right? So she went off.
Yeah, Ahsoka is in that Mando verse, because that's that movie that they talked about is going to have all that tied in with it. So yeah.
All right, so maybe we got to see what's going on with her first. And I don't know if they're going to give us more Boba Fett, because honestly, I want to see him ride that Rancor again, or I don't know, have him and Danny Trejo both have a Rancor and they go into battle. I don't know.
Well, okay. Here's my question though: is Thrawn like? Is he like a Sith, a Force user? Does he have powers? Like, I don't know this dude. All I know about him is he's blue, like he just drowned. That's the only thing that I know about this guy.
Kind of like, so, oh my God, what was the bounty hunter's name? I'm drawing a blank. The one that, oh my God, the one that Boba Fett killed. Why am I drawing such a blank? Hold on. It's gonna bug me. That was his name. Yeah, it's gonna kill me.
I don't know. Like I said, why you looked at it like that? Thrawn, I think my guess is, okay, because the Ahsoka show's coming in August. There's 2 weeks left of this. We know that Thrawn is going to be a big piece of that show. So it would make sense for Disney to do the Marvel thing and have him as, at minimum, a post-credit scene of some sort to build toward his entrance. You know what I'm saying? It's the natural fit. I mean, we've already seen an image. Now it was just the back of him for Star Wars Celebration Day. So, it makes sense to maybe we get that shot from the front, and that's the post-credit scene of the season leading into a Ahsoka show. You know what I mean?
It was Cad Bane. My bad. Cad Bane.
Okay.
Oh, the guy in the hat.
Yeah, the bounty hunter. Yeah, the bounty hunter.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay,
my bad. Yeah. I was like, he looks very similar to him.
That guy was cool. I liked him.
Actually, what race is? Hold on, is he the same? I don't even know. I don't even know what kind of. I don't know what he is actually. No, he's a different species. Damn it. Okay, I thought he was very similar. Oh, it is similar, but not. It's not the same thing.
What are you looking up, Jay?
I'm sorry. I'm still just looking into Thrawn. I was trying to see like what.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, like I said, but
I did just
it's
sit there and just rail off for like a good while. I'm like, you don't have to just have me.
oh no. I thought you were about to set this off on. But yeah, like I said, with Thrawn, he's obviously a big deal. I don't like I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy. That's Jeremy's deal. He knows more than I do, but it would make sense that we get. I mean, they wouldn't be talking about him now if he wasn't coming in August, obviously. So we're gonna get something of him this season. As far as getting Moff Gideon in check, who knows? I mean, I'm not sure Palpatine can get that dude in check. He's on another level. But
well, also,
he
was in Rebels. That's why I was like, I don't really remember. I'm like, that's because I didn't really watch Rebels. That's why I was like, this definitely was not Clone Wars.
Well, what are the odds that Moff Gideon meets his end this season?
That's what I'm also.
They'd be stupid to kill that character off.
I don't think killing him would be a good idea either. But
no,
I mean,
he's
going to die at some point.
Oh yeah, he's. I mean, obviously he dies at some point. If they're gonna do a movie, you want Giancarlo around to be in that movie, even in a minor role or something. Maybe I don't know. You figure out some kind of way where he gets arrested again or something. You figure it out. He's the star for me of this show. I mean, it's not Stepdaddy Pedro because I mean, even in this episode, he straight up just I'm going to follow you talking to what's her face. So it's not his show anymore. So to me, Moff Gideon's the star of this thing.
Problem is, a lot of his stuff that ended up was like it was also in Legends. So I'm like, oh cool, we're gonna cherry pick again and act like we made it. But okay, whatever, Disney. Like his death and shit like that. I mean, that's the thing is I'm like, yeah, well, he did die, but it's like in something in Legends. So I'm like, well, okay, you could play with this then and make it. I don't know.
Right.
Because he does apparently face off against some, minor characters in Star Wars named Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Lando Calrissian. So, minor people.
Gee.
I mean, this dude tussled with a lot of people that we do know of. But again, I don't know how much. That's why I can't really get to, a lot of stuff got thrown into Legends and basically just, it's not canon unless we say it's canon. I'm like, no, it's not canon because now I'm like, if you made something different, because you can throw a middle finger and say it's all Legends and just make your own thing. I'm like, that's fine, but quit saying this is not canon until we make it canon now. I'm like, that's my big thing with Disney. I'm like, don't do that. Don't act like you did this whole thing when you didn't. So.
Well, okay, so we've got 2 more episodes.
Don't take.
I'm assuming these are probably going to be 50 minutes like this one was. So, I mean, do y'all think that we've gotten to the end game of, okay, we're now in the battle for Mandalore? Like, do you think they reclaim the planet this season? Does it persist? Well, I mean, how do y'all think this goes?
Like I said, we did kind of leave this as a... It was kind of a Empire Strikes Back ending, so I don't know, man.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
uphill fight now.
Which that scene was really cool with Pedro Pascal. He's got like the flamethrower going, and they start doing the attaching those cords to him and looping him up like he's playing Twister with himself, and then they kind of start choking him out and drag him off. I mean, there's no point in them leaving this planet again for the rest of the season, right? I mean. I would hope with only 2 episodes left that they focus on this.
Yeah,
that's one thing that I'm curious about.
So,
I would imagine that the battle for Mandalore probably gets solved this season, because I think it could be in the next season. Part of the story could be rebuilding Mandalore.
Rebuilding, yeah.
So it'll definitely, whatever it is going to play itself out this season, because I feel like it kind of has to. because you don't really want to. You don't want the storyline to drag too much into next season. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, to go back to the question you said a minute ago, Frank, about when do they kill, Moff Gideon with Bo-Katan saying, I should have killed you whenever.
Yeah.
Does this season end with those two battling over the Darksaber and her killing? Is that how this whole thing ends? I mean,
maybe it's possible. I hope not, because I don't want to see Moff Gideon die yet.
Right, I don't
He's
either.
gonna have to though.
But
I do believe
They
when
still-
Moff Gideon meets his end, it's probably going to be at the hands of Bo-Katan. It seems like that fits.
But they still didn't answer the question of who broke Moff Gideon out.
True.
Well, honestly, I think it's inferred at this point, because remember, they found the Beskar medal in the shuttle when they looked at
Right.
it. I think it's obvious at this point that it was probably his own little army of people, because they now have Beskar armor. So I think
that makes sense.
I think that kind of answered that question. I still think it's about a 1% chance that the Mandalorian pirates that they're now buddies with probably got paid to do it. That's kind of where my head was at first. But now that you've seen that he's been using Beskar armor to cover up his stormtroopers and to build armor for them, I think it makes perfect sense that they were the ones that busted him out, and that's why you found a little piece of Beskar there. Also, on top of that, I don't think a Mandalorian, because they find the Beskar so important, I don't think they would have left any of it behind.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, because if you think about it, if you go back to the very first season of The Mandalorian, one of his payments for doing one of his jobs in the first episode was a bar of Beskar. Like,
That's
that had
very
a real
valuable.
value to him. So I don't think they would have left it behind. Whereas Moff Gideon and his crew of stormtroopers, they probably don't care as much, because A, they don't revere the Beskar the way the Mandalorians do, and B, we now know that they have been on Mandalore in the Forge making their armor anyway. They just figure, I'll go back and get another piece of armor. So,
Well,
I think that kind of makes sense.
When the first time we see that Beskar brick in season 1, you remember what was stamped in the corner of it?
Oh, an Empire symbol.
Yeah. So who had access to a lot of that Beskar, though? Unfortunately, it was stamped.
Ooh,
It was-
hang on. Oh, crap.
See what I mean? That's where I was going with that episode when we came across that Imperial shuttle.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they had taken a lot of that Beskar and stamped it as their own stuff, and like even armor kind of said like, well, this is Imperial brick of it, but obviously you can melt it down. It's just like it's like using iron. You melt it down and make whatever you want out of it. But I'm like, remember who grabbed a lot of that stuff and took it for their own was the Imperials. So that's why I was kind of like, yeah, but they had access to a lot of that, but I don't know where they were getting it from or what. I didn't even think to think, oh yeah, they're on Mandalore at the Great Forge, just kind of cranking out their own stuff. So
it does kind of make sense now, because you got to imagine Moff Gideon didn't just start putting that base together last week. That's something they've been building for a while.
no.
Oh yeah, no, he's been there a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
So he's probably been building that since the fall of the Empire, after the events of Return of the Jedi. So
right.
it makes sense. But I think that's a good time to start wrapping things up, because we've gone for a while. Thankfully, we managed to keep this to about 2 hours. I was really afraid this thing was going to run for like 3 or 4 hours, especially with my little electrical glitch right in the middle of it all. But still, we managed to keep things under pretty good show. But thanks again to my amazing co-host for being so awesome, as you always are. Starting with my Hunter Life mate, Jeremy. What do you got going on, brother?
Well, now I'm season 3 of Modern Warfare 2 on Call of Duty dropped, so I'm trying to get my hands on that sweet gun we call the Intervention. Somebody dropped it for me in DMZ. I shot that thing and it kicks like a fucking train. Oh my god, I was just one tapping people like crazy. So one tap snipers are back, baby, and so is the Intervention. That thing is insane. I'm happy. So there's that. This is Frank's fault. I reluctantly got back into Fortnite as well, so that's your fault.
I only wanted you to get back into Fortnite so we can tag team on Casey and just murk him.
Hey, I'm fine with that. I'm waiting for it. So
he's actually playing right now. I saw on YouTube a minute ago that he's
all
playing.
right. Well, let's get off this shit. And I'll go tag him a few times.
You go get him a few
Oh,
times.
there we go. Yeah.
Right.
I'll go watch and try to distract him in the comments so y'all can snipe him out or something.
It's not really stream sniping because I'm not actually watching him. So I'm.
Well, no.
You just see my name. They got sniped by me. It's like.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'll go over and I'll run his decoy and I'll just comment after comment to keep him busy. While y'all go in there and blast his head off. You know what I mean?
Text me. He's over here. He's in this part. Go get him. Like, yeah. He's in this part of the map.
I'm just running recon for y'all. That's all I'm doing. I'm just, I'm to use a Batman term here. I'll be your oracle. I'm just feeding you information. You know?
It's secondhand stream sniping. It's okay. There's that, and I'm very lazy, and I have not even begun to start doing The Last of Us. But who'd you, Frank? It was it's not Casey. It was
Drew.
Drew's doing it.
Drew started, so now I'm kind of like, crap. Do I really want to like satirize this too much? Like, people want to watch him or watch me or complete nobody?
Right.
I don't know. I don't want to crowd somebody too much. I know it's not like I'm the only person who's ever made a video on that game, but yeah.
Right. Well, now that we've talked about Mandalorian, nobody else is allowed to talk about it. It is only our thing.
True. So, I mean, hopefully I'll start getting I think someone mentioned in the comments that the new Jedi not Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor is coming out at the end of this month, so that might be something I could do. That's a highly anticipated sequel, so the keeping the Star Wars train going, that's a fun thing I can maybe do, because I'm excited to see all these different types of. They got different forms to fight with now, and there's even one that has a blaster, which I'm like, hey, that's pretty damn cool. If I can sit here and like fire somebody with a blaster and then swing a saber at them, so looking forward to that.
And how about you, our good friend from the South, our man Tex? What do you got going on, my friend?
Oh, not a lot. Doing real life things and hanging out here on Thursdays. Occasionally I'll pop in on Casey's deal. I was able to for about an hour last night. So it was. I am hoping that we can get Casey to do that October scary movie thing where you, me, and AJ all pick a movie for him to watch and kind of get his first time thoughts on. That's interesting to me. I sent you the movie that I'm considering picking for him in the DM group. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah, I saw it. We all talked about this movie off camera once or twice.
Yeah, like I said, he watches that, he may never sleep again. But yeah.
You guys, like I said, you're gonna put Casey on a list. Oh my god.
Well, like I said, there's nothing real concrete besides hanging out here on Thursdays. I don't do anything on Twitter. If you want to follow me, my name's right there. I don't care. But I'm just here hanging out, having fun. Anytime a horror topic needs to be brought up, I get pulled out of the field and do my thing. So yeah, just having fun doing, chilling with y'all. So that's about it.
As for me, you can find me here on every Thursday, going over all the stuff happening in the world of streaming, TV, movies, all that good stuff. This week's going to be a regular show. The week after that, however, Jeremy's probably going to take that week off, and probably me, Tex, maybe one or two other people. We're going to be going over all of round one as it's happening in the NFL draft. That's something. I think it's 27th.
I'm prepared.
Today it's 2 weeks after. He's prepared.
I'm prepared.
Where the Cowboys actually do anything worthwhile blocking. But think of it this way, Tex. You actually have a reason to watch. We don't have a first round pick until like 2170 because we traded them all for trade.
That is true. That is true.
So I'll be watching as a casual observer and not really a football fan because my Niners.
But knowing Jerry Jones, he'll trade our first round draft pick, drop us down to 25, and pick up a couple picks that he does nothing with. That's what he does every year. So
probably. Al Davis the fuck out of it. Lady Cora will be back with us next week. She had some work stuff getting away. That's why she wasn't with us tonight. I forgot to mention that at the top of the show. But she will be back with us next week. We look forward to having her. Be sure to go bother her on Twitter's stuff as well. Her link is all in the description below. We will see you guys later on. Until next time. Adios.
See y'all later.